this Clippers unit, some guys getting some of their first time here. Really, we didn't see really much, if any, of Beverly or Shamit, for example, during the scrimmage games. LeBron is out of the game as well for his usual rest. They're going to double screen KCP out of the corner. Hand off. Oh, George with the steal. He accelerated beautifully. Here's the 3-on-2. And George, not the most amazing passer. He probably had Noah as the trailer there instead. And Noah a little upset that he didn't get it. He's not going to score very often. It's one of the few chances he'll have. Danny, say something. Let him know that you're here.
I am here. I'm alive. Hooray.
Noah looking to get it to George. Shamit off the screen. AD switches on it. They had no hesitation about switching anything involving Joakim Noah since he's not an offensive threat. Caruso guarded by Noah. Into the post. They better help here. And there it is from George. And defensive 3 seconds called. I think they got Shamit for it there. No, it was Patrick Beverly. So Danny, how is your enforced isolation?
Fine. I mean, it was different because you could hear me, and so I was like, I kind of got into producer mode a little bit, but that's not. I mean, it's not entirely different, but it was a little bit of like Garfield minus Garfield. That's for sure.
Oh man, what do you think, Danny? Are we going to see JR during the competitive portion of the game? I think we'll probably see
Yes.
Waiters first. And yeah, there's another foul.
Waiters has been better.
Yeah, JaMychal Green commits his second foul in screening action. This is going to be more free throws. I guess they might look to see whether it's before the inbound, but AD just shot a couple of free throws. He's going to get more of them now. And yeah, Dion Waiters has come in, Danny. And I mean, everyone loves to joke about Waiters and his confidence and all that, but I actually think he can fill a role on this Lakers team.
Yeah, absolutely. They need more. They need more ball handling when LeBron is off the floor. And he's been a part of successful teams in the past. Can be a stout defender more so than an agile one. Oh, there we go. And now, if you want to retweet, Ben just retweeted from Nate's account or tweeted from Nate's account the link so other people can find the show again. I will, yeah.
That's good. I need to find the link too, actually. That's that'd be a good idea for me to actually like see what people's comments are. So all right, we're almost back, guys. We're almost back. There we go. All right, we are live. We got 70 viewers right now. Let's go. Here's Kuzma in pick and roll. They'll switch this late, and Kuzma going to his right with the 3-pointer. And it's interesting. He, has taken a fair number of threes off the dribble. Hasn't shot a good percentage. Anthony Slater wrote about this as well, of how Kuzma has not been that great in pick and roll this year. Here's George now going at Kuzma on the other end, and Kuzma gets his hand in the cookie jar. Yeah, he had the left hand right on the hip of George, and a good call was made there. Yeah, we're seeing that eye injury that AD suffered in the scrimmage against the Magic. And Paul George will shoot for some free throws. These two teams, the games between these two teams are going to be a little bit of a slog, I think. I think they're going to be great battles with great talent. But, I don't see, it's not going to be free-flowing up and down basketball. I think these defenses are too good for that. There's a lot of guys who draw a lot of fouls on these teams. A lot of guys who play really intensely and commit fouls as well. So I think this is a little bit par for the course here.
And Patrick Beverly lets KCP drive right by him. That was surprising.
Yeah, actually, Danny, here, pause for maybe like 1 second to sync up. I think you're a little bit ahead of me. You spoiled the surprise for me that time. Here's George in pick and roll, at Kuzma, and he scored twice now on Kuzma. Once he got fouled, once he went up. Well, AD actually, I don't think he actually stepped out of bounds on that inbounds, but nobody seems to care. There's that little transition screen, and that leaves AD open for a three. This is something to watch. A lot of teams are doing this now. The Pels really started it with a guard screening and then rolling to the basket in transition. You saw KCP do that time, and someone had to account for him, and that's what left Davis open for that three up top. So let's see if they try to go back at Kuzma here. Are they going to just switch this again? Yes, they do. George has a three. He's feeling it, but he short-armed that just a bit. Pushing it is Waiters. He's got Kuzma on his left. Wisely reverses the ball. Drive from KCP. Left hand. Looked to be fouled. Oh, wait, Davis dunks it on the head of Noah, who had helped out against KCP.
And that's the benefit of driving hard enough that you get help, is that it opens up the offensive glass for your big man, and AD capitalized there.
Beverly waves Noah away to go screen for Shamet. Open three in the corner is JaMychal Green. He can't hit it. That's the idea of him, is that he can spread it a little bit. Here's Kuzma feeling another three, and he's going to shoot 3 free throws instead.
And again, that was Patrick Beverly with the defensive miscue.
Yeah, Beverly obviously a little bit rusty here. He missed time with the personal absence. Landry Shamet returning from COVID-19. He's out there as well. I mean, this is a group that especially with Noah out there, has basically never played together. Yeah, Beverly, no arguments with that call, it seemed like. So 31-20 could not have been a better start for the Lakers, as the offense has looked a little bit disjointed for the LA Clippers.
Not the Los Angeles Clippers, the LA Clippers.
Thank you. Yeah, I wonder if they'll change their name when they move to Inglewood.
I doubt it.
Yeah, Steve Ballmer really moving heaven and earth to get that project done. He bought the Forum from the Madison Square Garden company. They're doing $100 million of contributions to the community in Inglewood, and it looks like everything is on track now. Their table center lease expires in 2024. Maybe they'll try and buy themselves out of that a little earlier. Here's Shamet. Again, they just don't need to guard Joakim Noah here. They can switch this, as Howard did. Noah can't hold on to it. James is back, and Shamet. This is what the Clippers are liking to do here, but now they're caught with Shamet in transition against James. He backs him down. Caruso, Beverly fouled him, no call. Caruso finding James in the corner. Here's the drive. Three-pointer. Kuzma on the right wing is off. And that's the story of Kyle Kuzma's career right there, at least, especially this year. Beverly on the drive. Noah can't get the rebound.
Yeah, and just a little short on. Beverly just seems a little bit off right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you imagine he wasn't getting much basketball activity, and now he's pressuring up on LeBron. LeBron goes to that step back to his left, and it was not close.
Yeah, I mean, but as you said overall, I mean, hard to envision a better start for the Lakers. And when you consider that they're 2 for 8 from 3 now, it's not like it's been because they've been on fire from deep.
Yeah, and honestly, I hate to say this because I'm glad that Joakim Noah is back in the league, but you saw the Clippers offense really grind to a halt when he came in there. I mean, they've got Zubac on 2 fouls, they've got Leonard on 2 fouls. That didn't help matters, but Noah is just not a threat. And so they're not going with Patterson. And Reggie Jackson, wow! That was a throwback for Jackson. You remember the story way back in Oklahoma City when he wanted to be traded, where he said he had a sprained ankle and he threw down a big dunk after practice just to show that he was kind of sitting out and malingering. But that was a huge dunk. Here's Kuzma attacking off the dribble. Goes to the fadeaway, and that's short. Again, Kuzma hit his first three. He's missed his last three. Or hit his first three-pointer, and he's missed his last three-pointers. 2-second differential as Jackson will control here and run the time down. Let's see who sets the screen. Probably be Patterson with Dwight guarding him. That is, in fact, the case. Jackson tries to drive it out. Bad foul by Dwight Howard. He got the arm in on him, and it'll be free throws for Reggie Jackson, who, again, looks pretty spry. I think he's someone who can really benefit from all this time off where he's had these injury hit years, 2 of the last 3 years. But he looked athletic, and he is a free agent potentially set to cash in.
Well, and Jackson, I think there's a part for him to play on this Clippers team, but especially with Lou Williams out, but I don't think it's with the starting five now. I think that's a temporary thing just with Patrick Beverley not being all the way
Right.
there yet, but I would consider going in a different direction just because let's call it his shooting judgment, does not necessarily align with a Kawhi Leonard and Paul George focused offense.
So we're getting our first look at Amir Coffee. He enters the rotation to guard LeBron James. I want to just see how he looks here. Coffee has played well in the scrimmage games. Here's Kuzma. He's got the drop on JaMychal Green, and in fact goes to the foul line. The quick hitter there with Howard setting a great screen, and then Kuzma able to go downhill against Green, so more fouling. It's been a lot of fouling we have witnessed. Holy crap, Denny. Is this right? The Clippers have committed 13 personal fouls in the quarter, and the Lakers committed 8?
That is correct.
We've seen now, this will be 28 free throw attempts in the first quarter.
NBA's back, baby.
Scott Foster is back.
There's 6 different Clippers that have 2 fouls already.
Yeah, no time here to do anything. Jackson actually traveled, and he misses that. So Lakers, great quarter, 13 of 14 from the foul line. They did a lot of damage in the paint. Teams shot it poorly from outside, but LA, excellent start for them. And we will give you some stats momentarily as soon as I can log in to RT Hoops from our friend Min.
And thankfully, due to the feed, you guys can all see it at the bottom. So that's a it's such an awesome feature that we were able to make that happen now.
Yeah, so it's 35 points on 28 possessions, and that's, I mean, when you get a lot of fouling, that can lead to more possessions sometimes. But also, there's a lot of fast breaking towards the end, and so that was. I think that a faster pace. Would you agree that a faster pace favors the Lakers?
I agree, especially because that means that LeBron can do some of his best work there. And the Lakers are comparatively better in transition. I think that's a fair point. And also worth noting the big disparity in turnovers here. The Clippers turned it over 7 times, the Lakers 3, and that helps fuel Los Angeles' transition offense.
Do you feel Vogel is cautious to go to AD at the 5 like Kerr was cautious to go to Draymond at the 5?
I don't think it's the same concern because in the Lakers case, one of the challenges is that they just don't have enough wings. And in Kerr's situation, I think he knew it was the best scenario, and they did have enough guys to pull it off. So I don't see it as an apples to apples comparison. No.
Yeah, that's a good point. Why don't you take another question here? I'm trying to get RT Hoops going.
Okay, the question of who should be the Lakers' closing 5. And Andrew said Caruso, KCP, Green, LeBron, and Davis. Against most opponents, that's what I would go with. There might be times that playing a traditional center is viable and doable, but yeah, I think that's a pretty solid unit. Caruso, still limited as a creator offensively, but when he's playing with LeBron James, that doesn't matter nearly as much. So yeah, I think he's a reasonable fit in this final 5, especially with Avery Bradley unavailable. Do you think the excessive fouling is because we're just restarting again? Yeah, I think some of it's that. We had a few kind of sloppy fouls. I think that Patrick Beverley had one of those that was a little bit there. Dwight didn't trust his size once. But some of it is just the way the game is officiated, and these teams can be pretty aggressive. So I don't think it's particularly ridiculous so far.
Yeah, Clippers, just too many mistakes in that first quarter. Turned it over on 29% of their possessions. That was pretty rough as well. Are the Lakers good in transition defense? I'm under the impression that they were worse there. That's a good question. We'll look that up. I didn't have an impression of that either way. So see if we can.
I'm going to cleaning the glass
right
now.
I will let you do it. You're way faster at looking stuff up than I am.
and I went to the wrong tab.
Does it seem like spacing has been shrunk more? It seems tighter. Uh, yeah, I mean, part of that is just I think that the first game the spacing was not shrunk. Here, just both teams have played two bigs basically the entire quarter, and you've also had Noah out there in particular, who again as we watch. I mean, if you just watch whoever is guarding Noah when he comes back out there, who we may not see him again, but you could just see how much they roam. That's a great way to look at it.
Lakers around league average in transition defense before the hiatus.
What do you think of all the people putting AD as the first team center? I will get to that question at the next break. So Leonard is returned with the 2 fouls. Patterson at center, screen roll. Jackson attacking Howard. They'll switch this. Jackson wants to take him one-on-one, forcing him towards the baseline. Help coming from Kuzma. Good help there. And LeBron knew where the only pass could go. That was a nice defensive possession by the Lakers. Howard forcing him towards the baseline. He executes the scheme. Kuzma executes the scheme in the mismatch as well. They trap the box right on the baseline, and then LeBron takes away the only available pass. So 4.3 to work with for the Clips in a difficult inbounding area. They look for Shamet. He's on the move, and what do we have here? In the screening action, a foul is called, and looks like LeBron maybe wrapped up Kawhi. We've also got J.R. Smith making his first appearance. And yeah, it was, I think, LeBron wrapping up Kawhi, so it was before the inbound took place, and they get one free throw. And that also resets the shot clock, which takes away a Laker advantage.
And here we go. J.R. Smith minutes that matter.
Oh, these don't really matter.
Hey, now, we have to tell people
they matter to us, but all right, here it is. Leonard versus James. Morpheus fighting Neo, and James forcing the miss. Man, I mean, LeBron, I am very curious to see what he's capable of with this much time off. Oh, and he's capable of that with a huge dunk. JaMychal Green was not there to help out. He went to box out Dwight Howard. I got news for you, JaMychal. LeBron's not missing that one.
Yeah, and Shamet 2.9 away from that. Might have been a business decision a little bit as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so this Clippers unit does not have a ton of rim protection with Patterson and Green up front. Leonard creates the space on Howard. His mid-ranger is short. Jackson on the offensive glass. And no, he stepped on the baseline.
On the extra thick baseline. Good question we can do quickly from Crispy Crab. You guys doing a pod tonight? Yes, we are. We are releasing a new podcast tonight.
Oh, yes. And yes, we are will be the answer. I think we're going to do one for the next 7 straight days. We'll see what the games are like those days. Maybe we'll take a day off if I'm going completely insane. LeBron creating the space on Patterson. It rims out. LeBron's jumper, always a bit fickle. Oh, at that time, just pushing the ball up. They had no idea who had Jackson in transition. That left Shamet open for 3. Lucky that he missed that. Shamet's going to need to hit some shots here to earn playing time. And once we get into the playoffs, here's Jackson attacking Howard again. And Reggie Jackson, he's looked like a contributor here, Danny. I know he's more of an on-ball guy, but and they've got Lou Will to do that, but he's looked pretty good. Here's a 3 from Waiters going to his right. That misses. It's Waiters and Smith together. LeBron on the cut, left hand, scores over Leonard. Leonard could not pick up the third. And now Shamet again. They have no idea who they're guarding in transition. That's 2 straight possessions. LeBron is apoplectic at this point. And with Dion Waiters and J.R. Smith on the floor, that is potentially a recipe for not knowing who you have.
Very much so. So right now we're... Oh, never mind. We're back to action. I thought that looked like a commercial lead-in.
Here's Waiters on the drive going into Green, and he scores on Green. Dion Waiters, never a great finisher at the basket, but he is an excellent driver. He does break the paint, and that time was able to score. Kuzma now guarding Kawhi. And this is definitely an interesting lineup, shall we say, from the Clippers. Jackson is a post-up from... Oh, and what a backdoor from Kawhi as a slick pass. And I think Dwight Howard just was worried that Kawhi was going to shoot the jumper, and he went right behind him. Great cut from Kawhi. Not known for his cutting, actually.
And a really nice, a well-timed pass from Patrick Patterson as well.
And now Dwight commits the foul on the other end.
And it'll be interesting to see what the Clippers can get from these minimum salary players. Some of them were earlier in the offseason, and then new additions like Reggie and Joakim Noah.
Leonard eluding Kuzma gets the open three off the Zubac screen. Oh, and it drops in. Has anybody ever rimmed in more shots off the front rim in NBA history than Kawhi Leonard? There's something.
It's not more memorable ones.
I mean, maybe he just has like such a crazy backspin on his shot that it causes it to bounce in. The cat is visiting. Sorry, that's the one downside of the more zoomed in camera. We get less cat action here.
So let's see if we have any questions. Who do you think is the third best team in the West besides these two teams? I think Houston probably has the highest ceiling. That's the framework I did on the pod with Matt Moore that came out last night / this morning, depending on where you are. But I think Houston also has the highest expected value, so I would go with them.
Rate Ingram's fit next design. We'll get to that right after we tell you about our friends at bookies.com. Danny, now that basketball is back and basketball gambling is back, why should people check out bookies.com?
Because bookies.com gives you the edge and knowledge to, as you would say, crush online bookies, whether you're betting spreads, money lines, totals, or parlays. And the information, I mean, hopefully you're listening to us, hopefully you're watching this feed or listening to Dunked On because you want to get information. And so that's why they're a very natural partner for us.
Yeah, absolutely. We are not huge on the betting, although the season long over-under, so we do enjoy that. But Mark Stratman, Adam Thompson, they are going to tell you where you should be putting your money. And Adam Thompson, by the way, 41-21 over his last 62. It's not bad. So check out bookies.com and save yourself a little bit of money with your bets. And you can also go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, you're gonna.
And also save yourself some time because they have live updating odds, and so you don't have to go a bunch of different places, and you can get the best betting in your state. You can look for those legal options at bookies.com/NBA.
That's right. Danny and I are tripping all over each other to tell you about how good bookies.com is. We just can't cede the floor to the other person. Okay, so let's get back to that question here. Which was, what was that one? Where is it? Oh, rate Ingram's fit next design. Yeah.
Fit. I'll let you go first.
Before the season, I would have said terrible. Now, I think offensively, it's pretty good. With Ingram's newfound shooting ability. However, defensively, both of them need to get a lot better, and it's just tough with your 3 and your 4 to be really good defensively if you're pretty below average, as both those guys are right now.
Right, and I think a lot of it is about where you think the Pelicans are. If it's, can they be a playoff team with those two guys defensively? Sure, absolutely. But if we're getting into the rarefied era of can they compete for a championship, you're asking a lot of your other players, and you're doing that whether they're playing the 3 and the 4 or the 4 and the 5, because then you still need somebody to be a lead defender on the wing. And while some praise Ingram's defense, it really isn't there for that kind of assignment.
Let's do one more here before we restart. Or actually, never mind. We're about to restart right now. Waiters matched up with Jackson. I think Waiters looks pretty good physically so far.
Yeah.
And Patterson, this is not a great matchup for LeBron. Good help from George, though. Nice rotation in the corner by Leonard. No advantage gain. This is a deep 3 from Waiters. And that was great defense by the Clippers on a string defensively. Zubac running the floor. Leonard has got Kuzma. He'll just take him. Goes to his left. Creates the space. Oh, that high release from Leonard. And Kuzma commits the foul. Let's see if I agree with this one.
It looked pretty close to high five to me.
Yeah. I mean, Leonard, he surprised Kuzma. He released it just so high. Kawhi is really, really tough in that area. So Leonard famously, originally a draft pick of the Indiana Pacers, going back to that 2011 draft, and it was traded for George Hill. Then the NBA lockout happened, but the Spurs famously had a brief chance to give him a shooting routine, and he came back a totally different shooter, was contributed as a 3-and-D player to their first 3 runs, culminating with a Finals MVP in 2014, and then continued to mature into a superstar. So here's Patterson guarding LeBron again, pick and roll. LeBron goes to the floater. You don't see that much. There's Roy Hibbert out here guarding him, but Dwight Howard there underneath. Yeah, LeBron, he hasn't busted that one out since those Heat Pacers series back in like 2014.
So now we can see Dwight Howard at the free throw line. I think these are his third and fourth. They might be his first and second of the game.
Yeah, Daniel Klinsman asking how worrisome is the Clips' interior defense. Yeah, the Lakers do have some ability to beat them up on the boards, and they don't have a natural matchup for AD because they really, I think their best groups are really more combo forwards. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a concern. Now, what the Clippers do so well is they deny penetration. They've got a lot of like-sized guys who can switch. They can fly around. They can double team. So the hope is to make up for that. And they also do have Zubac, who may get a little bit more of a look here. Well, here's George going into Howard, who has moved his feet well defensively. Plenty of time on the clock. Waiters pressuring up. He's just going to get a cheap foul, but I like the effort from Waiters. You see Jackson trying to back up, and Waiters like, no, I'm staying right with you here so I can get over this screen. But committed a little touch foul there in the end.
And we have seen fewer fouls on the Clippers now. I think it's 1 in the first 6 or so, in the first 5 minutes of the quarter.
Leonard at Kuzma again. Kuzma with a nice contest that time without fouling. Forced Leonard to shoot a little higher than he wanted to. Here's LeBron into 3 guys, and what do we got here? No, we're going to go the other way. LeBron can't believe it.
Yeah, and if they had called that on quiet, it would have been his third.
Let's see who this is off. Ooh.
That's off LeBron.
Yeah,
right call.
Yeah, I mean, it's close. You can't really tell from that angle. Pick and roll again. Kawhi going at Kuzma. Gets the screen. Engages Howard. Pulls up over him. And scores. Yeah, Kawhi a little more comfortable going to that right hand. And Kyle Kuzma, and he's going to be hard-pressed to guard Kawhi Leonard in a pick and roll. Here's Waiters into the lane. Doesn't take the mid-ranger. Instead, it's Kuzma. Good look from Waiters. Good bucket from Kyle Kuzma. Now 2 of 5 from downtown.
And this has been a long absence for Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I think that these teams are definitely playing hard, but we're going to see a little lower minutes totals. Kuzma, good defense again on Kawhi. He's done okay. Kawhi is 2 for 4 trying to attack him. Here's Waiters going at Zubac. And the spin by Dion Waiters.
That was the most nimble I've seen Dion Waiters look maybe ever.
Man, I mean, Dion, JaVale, and like J.R. Smith got to all be hanging out together, right?
Have to be.
All right, here's Kawhi. Gets the deep seal to Zubac. Zubac going to the hook shot, and you got to just be more physical there. If you're Zubac, you got the size advantage. You can't shoot that fadeaway. And LeBron tries to foul. And George, yeah, this is a good call. I think that's a shooting foul.
And also, like Paul George, the guys who commit Euro fouls should never be your stars because if they end up getting in foul trouble, you're burned.
Completely agree there.
You hear that, Nikola Jokic? Though, yeah, he commits a whole bunch of different types of stupid fouls. I'm sure we'll talk about that soon enough.
Yeah, LeBron hitting the first free throw. One of the big questions to me is when these teams match up, as many expect, in the playoffs, what is the state of LeBron James's jumper? And if he's got that step back to his left working, if you're playing him 2-on-2 and pick and roll and you go under, is he going to be able to make the defense pay just enough? That's a huge question. He's taking more threes really than ever this year, but only around 34%. And as we mentioned, he can really run hot and cold with that. Back to a 10-point Laker advantage. Caruso is back. So is Beverly. Nice pass. Oh, LeBron was all over it, though. 3-on-2, LeBron attacking George. Oh, go the other way. say the referees. Paul George stepping in beautifully on that LeBron Euro step. And yes, George was in fact stationary. Oh, yeah, he is
And
dead set right there. Great defense by Paul George.
yeah, totally the correct call. I would like to see the rule shift a little bit, but Paul George executed it
Well,
beautifully
and
well.
in a one-on-one situation, I don't mind it as much there either. And, LeBron is looking to – he tried to fake him out, and it didn't work. Here's Leonard trying to get baseline, and Howard, man, they are that's when I think they might have let go a little bit. Yeah, fix the charge. Again, as I said, I don't mind that one. When I did that presentation at Sloan on the charge, I said have it be on help defense. When it's one-on-one defense like that, I don't mind it quite as much. Now, if he's coming over in front of him in transition, it's a little different. But that's not really a dangerous play. Like he's just there and standing there, and LeBron tried to fake him out, and it didn't work.
We got a question from Robin Jeffrey. Why do you think the step back threes become so popular? And I think it's a couple of different things, but a big part of it is that you can get into a rhythm. It's harder to block, and it's a way to create space. That's something that you see James Harden do so well on those shots.
I mean, it's also awesome. Like guys love to work on that, and yeah, I mean, it's just because it used to be about creating the looks in the mid range, but now it's all about doing it as J.R. Smith steps in and takes a bad shot. It's all about creating those looks from three. Leonard cannot get the aforementioned step back three. They want to have him go at Kuzma again. Kuzma's held up reasonably. Leonard gets him in the air. Good job by Kuzma staying down. Swing it to George. Quick release in the corner from George. Misses. This is a chance for the Clippers to make up some ground with LeBron on the bench as they've gone back to both of their stars. Kuzma has Patterson. Patterson, conventional pick and roll defense. Kuzma with a high hook, and you see that huge standing reach of Zubac forcing a miss. George has J.R. Smith. Nice job. They had no numbers, but George set up a wide open three, and Leonard just couldn't cash out.
And I believe the Clippers are 2 of 13 from three now. Not that that's so much better, so much worse than the Lakers, but you can think about how different this would look if they were actually making them reasonably.
So we're seeing a AD at center for the first time, and Zubac commits the foul. He came right under the legs of AD. And I think, we are going to see a lot of fouls early on as guys are really trying to get their timing back, playing at real NBA intensity. Particularly when you've had, Zubac, for example. I mean, he's really only been back practicing for a couple of days here now. So it's going to take these guys a while to get their timing back. That can lead to a lot of fouls getting committed.
Well, and remember that defense, a lot of it is about reaction and timing, and rust can really affect you there. And communication, depending on the team, that might be a little bit of a problem too. So yeah, I think we're going to see some fouls and some defensive miscues early on.
So let's check in on the shot charts. Give me a moment to bring those up. Lakers doing their damage around the basket, 10 out of 13 at the rim. Neither team has had the touch from outside at all. But when you throw it 10 to 13 and then all the free throws that the Lakers are getting, that really is the big difference in the game, along with those Clippers turnovers.
Well, and another way of thinking about it is that the Lakers have only taken 4 mid-rangers this entire game. And if you're not having to take those 2-point shots, you're getting value probably somewhere else. And the Lakers are doing it more at the free throw line than anything else, considering they're 44% from the field and 52% on twos, but get into the line enough that they have a reasonable offensive rating, 114 overall compared to 93 for the Clippers, as you can see at the bottom of your screen.
Let's hit it.
Oh, we got to ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, why isn't Marcus Morris playing more? I mean, he joined the team fairly recently. I think he's probably still ramping up a little bit. And I don't think they need to push – the Clippers don't need to push these guys too hard. I think they kind of know where they're going to be.
I'd imagine –
unless the Nuggets are molten.
I imagine he's going to return here with the 2 fouls. I think he went out a little bit early. He also didn't look very good, frankly. -7 in his 5 minutes. So, yeah, I mean, this has been interesting. best player on the floor right now has probably been Anthony Davis, I would say, with plus 14, 15 points. He's done it at the foul line, 9 of 9. For the Clippers, Kawhi, 17 points, 4 of 10, 8 of 9 from the foul line.
And the Clippers they've toned down the turnovers. I think they had 7 in the first quarter, and they only have 1 in the second, if I had the first quarter number right.
You did.
Yeah. See if we have any other questions.
Thoughts on the Celtics moving screen and the paint thing? Certainly when the player is not making a legitimate attempt to post up, I think it should be something that is a foul. Like, because they're really just not making any kind of a play that's legitimate. They're just like being a lead blocker, like a fullback or something. So no, I think there's enough struggles for the defense already these days to give the offense yet another advantage where guys are getting layups because the big just gets plowed out of the way. Not a fan of that. So I think that's something the league should look at.
Oh, we got asked how the no fans element of this will affect the refs, and I don't know. You could make an argument that they don't have to worry about pissing off a home crowd, but there are some refs that revel in that a little bit. Crawford is one that I remember doing that. But so I think that it will affect it, but I just don't know how it will just yet.
All right, Davis will get a second free throw as Doc Rivers did the old Steve Kerr timeout thing. Davis unperturbed to make it a perfect 10 of 10 at the foul line. So it does look like LeBron is playing pretty close to his normal minutes here to start. George stepping back on Davis. Oh, yeah. That's really nice. Paul George looks pretty good to me so far, Danny. What do you think?
I think he looks physical. He looks pretty good physically. I want to see him be a little bit more assertive.
Certainly his quotes were as they bungle this pick and roll switch and get it open Kuzma for a 3. Nice job by Morris, who has in fact returned, saving it. Leonard going against his old buddy Danny Green, putting him in the mix, forcing him to his left, tried to draw the foul, and no, they're going to get a travel on Kawhi Leonard.
Saying his left foot landed before he passed, and it looks like it might have.
I think what they said was he hopped twice on the left foot after he got bumped, and that certainly could have been a foul on Danny Green, but I think the refs might be just a little tired of blowing their whistles at this point. Same play again for the Lakers, and they're going to call Beverly holding Kuzma as he went to go set the screen. And are they not in the bonus yet? Is our nightmare hasn't begun again yet?
I believe that they are not. The Clippers haven't committed that many fouls in the second.
Right into AD in the post against Patterson. Let's see where the help comes from here as he faces up, goes to the baseline, and AD lost his balance, almost made the shot anyway. And now Kawhi will push it up. They've got AD back behind the play. If Kawhi were a little more urgent about it, and instead they'll set up Morris on the drive. Patterson is wide open in the right corner, and the Lakers just lack of communication there between Green and Kuzma left Patterson wide open. And now we go back the other way, and Beverly can't believe it, yet another foul.
Yeah, and Beverly, he's played 7 minutes so far, and I believe if they called that on him, that'd be his third.
Yeah, Clippers, though, hanging around here as Kawhi is just, it's never that spectacular with him, but he just grinds his way into these points. Now that it'll be yet another free throw. Is this our first technical of the restart? Is the NBA truly back?
I believe that it is. and in true NBA cast fashion, we don't know for sure because we can't hear the audio.
That's right. But that will no longer be the case tomorrow, though.
Yes.
Let's see what we got here. Now it hasn't updated yet in the play-by-play. Oh, wait. It has. It is a foul on Marcus Morris, a technical.
Yeah, it was jawing with the ref, though appropriately socially distanced when he got the technical foul.
Yeah, and Morris is just going to take a seat right back on the bench. So final tally, it looks like, of 6 minutes played for him in this first half. Yeah, we're seeing a lot more Patrick Patterson than we're gonna see when these teams match up for real in the playoffs right now. Especially a lot more Patrick Patterson posting up is what we're seeing right now. Here's JaMychal Green for a three, and I know he missed that, but if I'm Kyle Kuzma, I might wait for Patrick Patterson to really like get an advantage position against Caruso. Here's a three from KCP, way short. And the Lakers, of course, will be very reliant on Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to make shots in the absence of Avery Bradley.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot on the shoulders of these supporting Lakers, and AD can't take that whole burden himself, so they're going to have to hit shots.
Analysis that we can't get anywhere else in the NBA cast. Danny and I both said they're going to need to hit shots. There you go. Here's George against AD. Hit that step back on him last time. Let's see what he's got here. Into the drive, and no, he just lost it out of bounds. And this is something that you'll see if you watch Caruso underneath on these plays. He's just very attuned to help as a guard to step in. And so really the only way that George could go was to his left and did not have the angle there. Handoff to Danny Green. We're seeing a little more rust from LeBron. Oh, Kawhi with the claw takes it away, and then Green fouls Reggie Jackson in the loose ball action. I think this will be free throws if this is a loose ball. But Kawhi just got Danny Green from behind, his longtime teammate. In fact, up until this year, they had never played apart from one another.
Yeah, got traded with each other. And yeah, so Reggie Jackson shooting free throws here. These will be, I think, his third and fourth of the game so far.
All right, Danny. Reggie Jackson, year and pick in the draft.
I think he was 25.
I think that is correct.
And the year, we go 2013?
2011. Because
Ah,
remember, he was was restricted free agent the summer of 2015. So
that's
go
right.
back 4 years from that.
I'm not quite the right man that you are. But getting 25 right, I'm pretty pleased with that. If I did, I don't know if you checked it.
I mean, that's what I had in my head too. So it would be amusing if we both had the exact same wrong answer. Why is Danny Green
And we
dribbling?
did. He was the 24th pick.
No.
Yeah,
You sure about that?
I just went to Basketball Reference.
Nah, they gotta be wrong. That's ridiculous. All right, LeBron back to goal against Beverly. Help comes Caruso with the catch and shoot. That's off. We're seeing JaMychal Green at the 4, Patterson at the 5. They go to Kawhi, posting up here. KCP a little too light in the shorts for Kawhi. Caruso coming to help. Kawhi with the good look anyway, and there it is. I mean, Caruso looks over. He's like, "Hey, am I supposed to double harder than that? What should I do?" And like, the answer is, it's pretty tough to take that shot away even with the double team. Caruso screening for LeBron. They'll switch Kawhi onto him. Now LeBron does not want to take that jump shot. Instead, they want to go at AD in the post. And LeBron set all this up. I'll talk to you about that in a second. Caruso going backdoor. AD on the drive. And that was all set up by the cut by Caruso. So I want to take you back to the start of that play because I'm pretty sure that LeBron James called Kawhi Leonard's man over or called AD over to get Kawhi switched on to AD and then go to AD in the post against Kawhi with Kawhi on 2 fouls. And it ended up working out. Now James pressuring up on George, leaves it for Green, but no, they get the travel on the hop step by Paul George.
And it seemed to me on that play that the Clippers were having trouble communicating. They got a couple scrambles like out onto Caruso, but that they just don't necessarily know where the other guy is.
I've been very impressed.
And considering,
go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go.
I've been very impressed by LeBron's defensive effort so far tonight.
Yes, agreed.
Jackson is guarding LeBron, steps into the lane, and he traveled. Yeah, we're seeing a little bit of rust here now. It was that same thing that the hop with. That one, I'm not sure he actually did travel. Let's see.
Yeah, he did.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, he tripped over himself. I couldn't see exactly where the gather took place, but he did in fact pick it up there. It was 2 little hops on that right foot. All right, Kawhi going at Caruso in a small pick and roll. Caruso not as good an ISO defender. Patterson with the cut, but he's got AD on him. Oh, he scored over him nicely.
What a finish.
Action starting to pick up as Markieff Morris getting his first time. He actually played a significant portion of the fourth quarter the last time these two teams matched up. LeBron going at Kawhi finds Caruso, who they are not guarding, and that's why. George, he's got Caruso now. Caruso getting picked on a little bit here. Oh, the shovel pass, and Reggie Jackson was not ready.
Yeah, I think that turnover was more on Reggie Jackson than on Paul George, but I believe that is going to be Paul George's third of the game.
Yeah, it was a little low. I mean, it hit him right in the knees. That's tough. But Reggie Jackson actually has one of the largest wingspans ever for someone. I think he's listed at like 6'2", and he has a 7'1" wingspan. So if anyone could catch that, it'd be Reggie Jackson. Kawhi going to take a seat just to spare him from foul trouble the rest of the way.
Should be able to see a 2-for-1 here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's Caruso on the cut, and he's stopped by Jackson, so they don't really get the 2-for-1. Clippers can get it if they hustle, and Jackson going into Morris did not get the foul. The refs swallowing their whistles a little bit more now. James going at George did not want to pick up the foul. Remember last time George took the charge on him, James slowed down, and they stopped him again.
But with the foul, the Lakers should, I brought up 2-for-1 probably 2 possessions too early. Now with a 5-second differential, depending on how slow the Clippers want to play, because remember, in the second quarter, it's not the same mechanics here. If you hold it, they can't advance the ball. So I think the Clippers could functionally make it hard for the Lakers to get a good shot if they hold it.
AD building on his perfect night at the foul line. And
I think Doc Rivers agrees with me because that's why I brought Kawhi back in.
Yep. Yeah, unlikely that he'll pick up a foul here, unless it's of the offensive variety. Yeah, so this lineup for the Lakers, it is AD at center, which we like, I think, generally, but a little clunky from a shooting standpoint. Caruso, not great as a shooter, and Markieff Morris, just finding his legs again. He's been off and on as a three-point shooter the last few years. So Kawhi has LeBron. They want to involve Markieff in the screening action. Kawhi waves them away. Now he just wants to go at LeBron. LeBron cuts him off. Going at him again. In the mid-range, pulling up. Oh, short. Great defense from LeBron James. He's got time here to do something. Is he going to get it off? No, he won't.
That was too late. But good defense by LeBron there to keep his feet moving and make a hard shot for Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a quick break here, and then we will get into our halftime festivities in just a moment.
So in that interim time, I will answer your questions. What are the best lineups for the Lakers and Clippers? Lakers, one I talked about briefly already. I think it's Caruso, Caldwell Pope, Green, LeBron, and Davis. There are certain matchups where you can remove one of the smalls for a big, but generally I think that's their most viable matchup, especially when you consider floor spacing and everything else. The Clippers, I think it is more context dependent. I think the only absolute locks are Kawhi and PG. Marcus Morris is probably in there, and then depending on the opponent, either Beverly and Shamet. You could go Beverly and Zubats, and probably not Lou Williams in a lot of those. Probably you don't really need Harrell either. Is Caruso good? I figured him to be important for the Lakers. Yeah, he's good at very specific things. So Caruso he's an adept help defender. He can be really good in the team concept, kind of can get into guys into other teammates' covers without sacrificing too much on his own guy. He's not great as an on-ball creator, but he can be an okay catch and shoot guy. So he's good at specific things that a lot of the other Lakers are not, and he fits well with LeBron because he doesn't need the ball to be successful, despite being more point guard size than anything else. So yeah, I think he is good, and I think he's probably in the best 5 for the Lakers for that reason. Noah has looked better than you expected. Believe in upside with him. Not particularly. I think that Noah's limitation, he's not the defensive player that he once was. He can distribute a little bit, but I think that the Clippers have so many better options for that. So As a gap filler, sure, you can do that, but I'm not going to read too much beyond that. What do you think the Lakers can get for Kuzma, taking away COVID circumstances? I think it's going to be a challenge because Kuzma is a very, he's a capable offensive player. I don't love his fit next to other to ball dominant guys just because it's just not necessarily what he wants to do. He's not good enough defensively. But here's the thing. I think Kuzma is a great example of the idea that I've had to fully embrace, which is I am not most GMs. And there are people who will value the scoring that he can bring and not be as worried that Kuzma will get overpaid as a restricted free agent. Maybe they don't particularly care about that. So I think that the return would be solid, maybe like a late first, or in the Lakers' case, probably a player who can help them more. But I don't think it's like the equivalent of a lottery pick for Kuzma right now, especially when you don't get him below market for that long. And he's not a free agent this year where it would be actually possible to get him on a value. Who is benefiting more in this game from poor three-point shooting, the Lakers or the Clippers? The Clippers are 4 of 15 so far. The Lakers are 3 of 15. I would say that by and large the looks for the Clippers have been a little bit better. They've missed a couple of clean ones, so I would say the Lakers are benefiting slightly. I can't remember their team three-point shootings off the top of my head, so I'm gonna go with the Lakers benefiting a little bit more because I think the looks have take precedent right now. Who is more likely to play helpful minutes in the playoffs, Patterson or Markieff Morris? I think it's Markieff Morris, partially because the Lakers just have fewer options in those kind of front court spots. They don't have another Markieff Morris, not that they need him every time. Whereas the Clippers could go in so many other directions. For example, I think JaMychal Green is better than Patrick Patterson. From Michael Roberts, do you think a lot of teams will sell off assets like draft picks and players to recoup some of the funds from loss of revenue? Does that benefit big market teams more? I don't think we're going to see that much of it. I mean, remember that the value that you expect to see from a draft pick financially, when you think about how below market they are, that is higher than the cash you can get in a trade. So I think a lot of those will be short term. Maybe we see some trades where teams get off of money, like like a Nicolas Batum type of contract or something like that. Not saying the Hornets in particular, but I think that it could be a good ownership is the biggest competitive advantage in the NBA thing, because those small benefits. The reason why draft picks aren't sold anymore is because it doesn't make sense, not because of the finances of it.
All right, I am back here, and we'll tell you about our friends at bookies.com. First, if you want to place a legal wager in your area, the Lakers are 4-point favorites at the half, minus 210 on the money line, while the Clippers are plus 170, and the new over-under is 216. And bookies.com can give you all of the information about where to place your bets if you click through for these great deals on legal sports betting in your area. And they also can give you great information to make your picks as well.
Yeah, and remember that knowledge is money, and it's not only getting the expert opinions, but also finding out where the best lines are, figuring out whether it's what you think the money line or parlays or anything like that. You can get all of it at bookies.com/NBA, and having live updates is great for right now, not just in these games, but remember, we're dealing with a lot of volatility in the bubble, players coming in and out, and so there could be some advantages for you to pursue.
Okay, so let's take a quick reset of where we are before we do a few more questions. Anthony Davis, 12 of 13 from the foul line. 2 turnovers, only 1 foul, which is a big deal in this game. But he's got 20 points, leading all scorers. Leonard, somewhat of a disjointed first half for him, but still worked his way to 5 of 12 from the field, but 8 of 9 from the foul line. 3 turnovers. He's got 19 for the Clippers. And Paul George, 11 points. Reggie Jackson with 10. Those are the 3 Clippers in double figures. And LeBron James, not really the most dominating half from him on the offensive end. I really liked what he did defensively, but 6 points, 5 assists, 2 of 9 from the field for LeBron.
And when you look at LeBron's shot chart, he has three pure jump shots. Then he has two kind of in the paint, not quite the restricted area, and then he has all of his makes and then a couple of misses right around the basket. But LeBron does have 5 assists.
Well, and recall it was a 35-point first quarter for the Lakers, and then they wheezed their way to 19 in the second as the Clips put up 29. So pretty close here, 54-52 at the half, and relatively low scoring, particularly with the poor three-point shooting, and not a ton of three-point attempts either. So 100 offensive rating for the Lakers, 95 for the Clippers. Anything else that really stands out to you on this stat sheet?
How few 3-point shots have been taken by the Clippers bench players? So the Clippers are 1 for 4 from three with their bench guys. And remember, the bench guys include Landry Shamet, who's played 10 minutes. Whereas the Lakers bench, they've taken 9 3-pointers, 5 of them by Kyle Kuzma.
Other thing that stands out to me is Clippers actually out shooting the Lakers. It's 56% true shooting, really right around the league average, in fact, for the Clippers. And, the league average offensive rating is in, a little bit below 110. And yet they're at a 95 offensive rating. That's purely because of failures in the possession game. Number one, the turnovers, 24% turnovers for what's usually a pretty low turnover team. And then neither team doing anything on the offensive glass, so both under 20% offensive rebounds.
And also worth noting briefly that the Lakers, despite playing two traditional big men a lot of the time, not all the time, 0 blocks in the first half. Though they changed some shots around the basket, to be sure.
All right, let's hit some questions here.
Were we wrong when we thought that Markieff was the better Morris brother? Well, he was. I mean, Markieff was the better one when they got those extensions, and Juan Babby asked them to basically said to split the amount of money that they were going to get. Markieff was better then, but Marcus has. I think he has improved more as a defender, and I think his game fits. And also, Markieff has dealt with a bunch of injuries too.
Yeah, I think that you really, when you needed a pure power forward, a big part of it was that Markieff was actually at one point much better defensively, and that really has changed some as Markieff has waned, and also just the league getting a little smaller and switchier. And Marcus also deserves credit for having improved his defense in his time in Boston.
Oh, we got asked this before, but got asked it again. Your thoughts on Joakim Noah's minutes so far? I shared mine earlier.
Not great.
Yeah, that's about where I was.
I think he's just really an offensive liability. I mean, he was an offensive liability 5 years ago when he was on the Bulls, and he's not looking to shoot. He doesn't really have a way to shoot anymore, and it's your offense really gets Noah-ized when he's out there, where he has to have the ball and guys do a bunch of cutting, and it's not really this Clippers team's game. Like, they've got great ISO players like that. Let them go to work that way, and anytime he wants to set a screen or hand off, now whoever's guarding him can just go double team the ball, and he's not really a threat. Or you can switch it without penalty because he's not going to post up or anything, and it's also really hard to give him the ball on the roll. So he can pass, he can fight on the offensive glass, but against a really good defensive team, that's going to be a struggle. And I don't expect that he's going to have a major part to play when these teams match up, if it happens in the playoffs.
I'll do this one from Cody Wilson. Do you think a team needs more chemistry and reps than the Clippers to win a title? No, I don't think they do. The Clippers have the talent, and they also have the time. Now, they'll have to play well in order to make it out. I mean, especially if they potentially face the Mavericks in the first round. But think about the way their offense is going to flow with Kawhi Leonard. I mean, it's going to be a lot of Kawhi ball spacing the floor. I don't think you need a ton of synergy to get there. And then defensively, they have a lot of talent. So I think it's a fair question to ask. I'm just not as concerned about it.
Thanks to everyone who's had nice comments about the League Pass cast that we are doing tomorrow. You can just go on to NBA.com, and if you don't have League Pass, and just click watch. And I think we don't get a ton of people on watching these casts, but I think if everyone who watched this cast watches that, or even you can just watch it afterwards too, that would make a huge difference for us, I think. Because if you think about it, out of market League Pass on the app, probably not that many people would be watching Brooklyn or Orlando normally. So it wouldn't be too hard to deliver like a big percentage increase on that and kind of just show that this is something that at least hardcore fans are really interested in. So they've given us kind of two broadcasts to show what we can do, and this is our chance for us, and hopefully for those of you who enjoy our coverage to make ourselves heard.
From Michael Roberts, do you think that the Thunder are a sneaky pick to go further than expected in the playoffs? I don't think so. To me, their offense it's not super inspiring. And remember how good some of these teams are going to be, and they're defensively capable, especially if Chris Paul is healthy and on it. But no, I think that they outperformed their talent level early, and generally, I think that will hurt them. But if they face, let's say, the Jazz, I think that the Jazz might be the only team I would consider picking them over. But Utah looked capable today.
See what else we got here. We got a 10-day contract. Yeah, that's a good analogy. You're right.
I'll do this one quickly from Ryan O'Toole. Are the Raptors this year a better regular season team or playoff team? I think it's regular season. Matt Moore and I actually talked about this a lot on Real GM Radio, recorded on Wednesday. And the analogy that I made was kind of to the Celtics in previous years, which was that they execute well on defense. They try hard. Nick Nurse is a great coach, but that their offense in particular, I get concerned about against elite opposition. So I think that they'll do well. But I don't think that it's hard for me to pick them beating a really good team because of that offense.
So, what needs to go right for the Blazers to make the playoffs? Well, the first thing that they needed happened. New Orleans lost to the Jazz. If they had, those were the hard games on New Orleans' schedule. If they win that game, they look a lot better. Now they're going to have to win their games. I think they have one game against New Orleans. I want to say they have a game against the Kings too. So if they can win those games, and I don't see the Grizzlies running away and hiding. So I think they've. It's crazy to say it only after one game of the bubble, but that was a huge loss for New Orleans. Absolutely.
It was especially a huge loss, and I think we'll talk about this on the pod, in the context of that it was such a winnable game. That they had a real chance there. And remember that for the 9 seed teams, it's not only playing well, it's that you have to play better than everyone else. And while you and I aren't super high on the Kings or the Suns or the Spurs doing it, it only takes one team playing really well to get there. And New Orleans does have some schedule advantages. But the other huge part of that is if we're talking about actually getting into the playoffs, getting into the 8 seed is a whole hell of a lot better than being the 9. And that's going to be a lot harder for New Orleans now as long as Memphis just treads water slightly.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Utah, too, I think it was pretty big to win this game. What you really want is to avoid the death sentence of playing against the Clippers in the first round. And so now the Jazz winning that game, they are 4 up in the loss column on the Mavs. So
yes,
pretty hard to see that they they really would have to implode, and the Mavs would have to go crazy. And the Mavs, I think, are 3 down in the loss column behind Houston. So they're going to be hard pressed to get out of that 7. But if Utah, if they can avoid being that 7th seed, they might have a decent chance of winning a series. If they match up against Denver or OKC, I don't see them beating the Rockets or the Mavs, however.
No, and you just answered one of our questions was who would we pick in that series, and I think both of us would pick the Rockets if they played OKC.
Oh, if they played OKC.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I crossed up a couple questions.
Oh, yeah.
If you were the Warriors, who are you taking with the number 1 pick? Of the players that we've watched film on, which is pretty much everybody in serious contention for the top pick, I would go with LaMelo Ball without too much hesitation.
Yeah, Denny Avdia is the one that we haven't watched yet. But, I think it would be LaMelo. I think I would probably have Wiseman number 2 at this point.
That phrase scares me, but I also think it might be accurate for me too.
Are we gonna go to the bubble for the finals? If it just would make my coverage actually a lot harder, particularly with this cast. We got bookies.com sponsoring us. I know you guys really like watching it. There's no way we could do that, obviously, from the bubble. So I would totally go if it weren't for that, but. I'm not that worried about the health issues at this point. I've got a whole podcast on that to talk more about that. But no, I would go, but then we wouldn't be able to do this cast, and we love doing that. So, all right, we are back here. Zubats looking for Leonard, who's guarded again at the start by James. They keep Jackson on the side. Good defense. Late clock now. Morris has to create on Davis. Not an advantage matchup, and that's why he traveled.
Traveling is an epidemic in the modern NBA.
Yeah, I mean, what is this? Our 5th travel of the game? Something like that?
I think it might be more than that.
Yeah, Marcus Morris, understandably so, given how his training camp evolved, looking a little bit slower than normal. Leonard has the matchup early on James. They'll switch this with Morris. James, no hesitation for 3. JaVale on the offensive glass. Misses it. Oh, he beat Zubac to it again. Zubac looking a step slow. Here's Green creating space. Not a great shot. And no, he's called for the offensive foul, pushing off against Kawhi Leonard.
Turnabout is fair play. I believe that was early in the first quarter when that call went the other direction.
Well, and Scott Foster, Danny Green did that same move twice. He just wildly swung his left arm, and Scott Foster was, all right, if you're going to do it a second time, I'm going to call this. Morris off a screen, closed down nicely by Davis. Now it's George's turn to switch Davis onto him. George goes to the step back on him once more and hits once more. That's 2 step back 3-pointers that Paul George has hit on AD. I think if I were AD, I'd try to get George to drive by me and see if I could pressure his layup instead of giving up that 3.
Yeah, and they also have a lot of help around the basket too.
AD guarded by Morris. Strong defender, but AD has the size advantage. Morris goes down, no call. Good help from Zubac. And now what are we going to get here? Looks like a foul in the loose ball scrum.
And that help from Zubac is exactly what the Clippers need from him. Just another body to throw at Davis after he gets by his man. And I thought that was a nice job. And it was JaVale hitting Zubac in the face.
Thank you. Clippers with their first lead in some time. George. Oh, you see LeBron just switch that onto Paul George. He knew the exact play that was coming. Now George guarded by LeBron again. And yeah, they're going to call Zubac for yet another foul. Yeah, they're going to say he shoved LeBron out of the way as he tried to roll. But LeBron knew exactly what play was going. They were setting up that screen action where George sets the baseline screen and then pops out. And so LeBron just came out of the corner to go guard him. And now Kawhi with a nice stop on LeBron. LeBron's drives have not borne fruit in large part tonight.
Yeah, that's very true.
Now a baseline out of bounds. Screen for Davis. He's open off the catch and shoot and not even close.
That was a rough angle there. Oh,
here's Jackson looking to push it. He didn't see Morris ahead of the field, and then he loses it. AD with the trail. KCP driving. AD. Oh, and he's going to go over the back of Leonard and commit the foul.
God, is that like the 8th turnover? I think it's probably around 6 of this. Very young second half.
No. Technically, that's a loose ball foul. It's not a turnover.
Fine.
Hey, we can't cast aspersions on these guys. You know there are dudes in the league that matters for. Absolutely, to not get credited with the turnover. True. Yeah, this game taking on a somewhat similar feel to that first matchup between these two teams on opening night. Jackson. Alley-oop, Zubac. Oh, and KCP commits the foul there. Good job by Zubac getting inside position on KCP, and there's a miscommunication between McGee and Caldwell Pope, and Caldwell Pope can't believe he was called for the foul, but he actually was there on Reggie Jackson, and McGee maybe should have gotten back onto Zubac instead. So no foul on the alley-oop. No foul that time either, but Zubac couldn't get up again. You wonder if he had a little better timing, whether he could have gotten that, but it's early. The Clippers have time here to get back into it. And then KCP, easy drive on Reggie Jackson. And Reggie, his former Detroit teammate, he really just kind of ran around, lost him in transition, and that's why he wasn't in position to defend and picks up the foul. Yeah, Zubac looked like me trying to get my age 40 dunk in the park the other day.
I thought we weren't talking about the outtakes.
I noticed that, like, I'm going to catch the ball with my fingertips and not the palm of my hand to try to give myself the absolute best chance. I recognize that. I could identify with Ivica Zubac on that one. Missed free throw, rebounded by Leonard. Drag screen. Good screen from Zubac. Morris is wide open as Davis sloughed off, and Morris can't make him pay. Zubac with an ineffective tip. Now the Lakers are 4-on-4. LeBron, Danny Green. He missed Davis in the post and missed the shot as well.
And we'll see how hard the Clippers try to push this.
Yeah, George will take the three. Oh, Paul George starting to heat up. That is the third three-pointer that he has hit right in Anthony Davis's grill. And this is an aspect here, especially in transition, where AD is going to have to be guarding Kawhi or Paul George in a lot of these scenarios. Now the missed pass in transition, 2-on-2, guys looking a little ragged. George feeling it. Oh, baby! Paul George! Three-pointers in the first 3 minutes of the quarter, and the Clippers, all of a sudden, they've gone on a 9-1 run, and they lead by 6.
And remember, Anthony Davis was the leading scorer with 20 points at halftime. I think he had like 11 or 12. Paul George now has 20, tied with AD for the lead. 7 of 12 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, 2 of 2 from the line, and you don't feel those 3 turnovers as much when you're drilling threes.
Oh, let's see here. What do you look for in these top-tier teams with nothing much to play for as indicators for playoff performance? Number one, it's just how do the guys look physically? Do they look in rhythm? Does anybody look a little bit slow? Does anybody look like they're not quite getting off the ground the same way? Does anybody look like they're a little heavier or that they've cut up a little bit? I mean, that's the number one thing. It's just how do these individual guys look out there when they are going hard in maybe more limited minutes?
Somebody asked if we've watched Killian Hayes yet. We have not. That could end up happening. I actually saw Killian Hayes a couple of years ago at the Basketball Without Borders when the All-Star game was in LA, but I haven't seen him in person since then. So yeah, if we get the chance to watch film on him, that's going to be a little bit harder now because we have some other film to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll get back. I mean, we'll be in our normal schedule here. I think once the second round is over, we'll probably get back into more draft stuff, more off-season preview stuff as well. Hopefully, we'll have an understanding of where like the cap is going to be at that point as well. Do we need to dress up for the NBA cast tomorrow? No, I mean, what are you going to go? You going to go polo shirt, Danny?
I think so. I think polo button down, short sleeve button down, something like that.
Well,
and
here,
then I show up in a full suit and make you look bad.
I'll have to show you guys this here. It's not good. I haven't gotten my hair cut in 4 months. So I think I'm just gonna do what I can to style it for tomorrow. But this is it's a little rough. Like this back portion. We got some problems here. My wife has referred to it as a little mullety, and I'm like, well, yeah, it would be if it were also short on the top. But
if it were business in the front.
Yeah. All right. I'll stop scaring you guys. Put my hat back on here. Yeah, it is a rather unruly party all over right now for the hair situation. Let's get back to business here. Mike Roberts, how much are you willing to pay Hernan Gomez and Malik Beasley? That's been a frequent topic of conversation. Hollinger and I actually talked about that quite a bit when we talked about the Delete 8 a couple weeks ago. But what are your other thoughts, Danny?
I think Juancho, I would give more money than he's going to get. It would probably be in the $5 to $6 million per year. I think he's a capable
he's gonna get that. He'll get that.
I don't think he is. I think
because he would just take the qualifying offer otherwise. I mean, there's still. I think he'll get at least $6 million, or he's not going to sign it. Would be my guess.
We'll see. And then Malik Beasley, maybe around starter money. I think that'd probably be, so in the $17 million range. I'm not completely sold on him as being an above-average starter, but capable and young.
All right, we are back. Lakers have yet to really get a good look here. KCP, Davis attacking off the dribble on Leonard. Tough hook. Rebound McGee. This is Green's corner three, and Danny Green's had a good look there. Couldn't drop it. Clippers in transition once more. Leonard has Davis. Wants the screen. And Leonard almost got the pass through. Leonard and Zubac have evolved a nice chemistry. But that, again, you see when Leonard has Davis, he wants to go at pick and roll, make Davis get over the screen. Also, just make him communicate with McGee as well. You're just not used to that if you're a rim protecting four man like Davis is. George stopped by McGee beautifully, who got back. That's a perfect job of pick and roll defense by McGee. You feel the big start to get behind you. He starts backing up, and that's how he's able to get his hand on that. Nice
And
play.
more importantly than that being Paul George's fourth turnover, it's also his fourth personal foul.
Yeah, not a good decision, especially George was on fire, and he raises his hand. What was I doing? And it'll be Beverly returning for
And
the
and
Clippers
remember,
star.
I think that was his third foul. Paul George committed that intentionally fouling to stop a fast break. And
You're right.
if it comes back. Star players shouldn't commit Euro fouls.
Here's LeBron in the post. We've seen very little LeBron posting up yet. Let's see if he gets more aggressive here now, especially with George out. Zubac hanging out in the middle of the lane. LeBron, he's intercepted by Kawhi. The Lakers had no spacing on the weak side. LeBron gets the intercept, though, but the Clippers still control. Two guys go down in the backcourt. Jackson attacking, tried to curl it around McGee, but was intimidated away. Here's Green looking to pull up, instead gets it to LeBron. And everyone, guys looking a little tired here. That was a long sequence.
They're looking a little tired, but they're also getting used to like the length and aggressiveness of their opponents. That's something new for both of these teams.
And this Lakers spacing looking a little bit rough here. They've tried to sneak some passes through that they just didn't have space for. Kawhi, fake handoff, and Zubac. I don't know where McGee was. I think he might have just gone down behind the play, but man, was he behind everything. And Zubac just there. When your guy's dunking and you haven't even entered the screen, that's not a good enough job of getting back on defense. LeBron tries to leave it for AD, and they got bailed out with the foul on Morris holding him. That is, of course, a point of education this year.
And I really liked Kawhi keeping his head up and finding Zubac for that pass. And often when you know that you're sort of doubled, that somebody's going to be open. And maybe he saw the little white jersey coming by unimpeded.
I'm glad that we're getting a small amount of this new camera angle, and they've largely stuck with the sideline view, which
I'm not happy. I'm not happy we're getting any of it. So it's gonna be hard.
That's fine for just the inbound. I'm okay with it.
For the inbound, 100%. Yeah. I thought they were gonna hold it for that possession.
Here's LeBron. He backs it out on Zubac now. Step back to his left is coming here. No, he tried to drive it, but he didn't have time. I assumed he would know the shot clock situation. Yeah, LeBron. This is a good Clippers team, and remember, they made LeBron look like this in that opening game of the season too. But he has not had his rhythm, and I think trying to get him into the post with a little more spacing is a way maybe to unlock that. But they're not worried about where they're at right now. Here's Kawhi off the screen, 3. Oh yeah, off the back rim, and Frank Vogel needs to talk it over. Lakers 1 point in 5 minutes.
Well, and Jonathan Tjarks, when he wrote his piece on Paul George, he talked about the fit of George and Leonard together. And one of the big elements is it's these two wings that can shoot well. And I think we're seeing the difference between that and the Lakers, where the Lakers' two best players, not necessarily the most reliable shooters. AD and LeBron have combined for 4 3-point attempts. They have missed all 4 of those. The Lakers' starting 5 has only taken 9 3-pointers in this entire game. Paul George alone has taken 8.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. We just lost Danny again. Man.
OBS.
Oh, no. You're back.
Yay!
I don't know what happened there. Maybe your Skype just cut out for a second. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was talking about how the Lakers' starting 5 has only taken 9 3-pointers and Paul George has taken 8.
Trying to buy the game tomorrow on League Pass, but the NBA only accepts U.S.-based cards. Oh. All right, that is a concern. Well, maybe I hope that is not correct. Yeah, hopefully they'll take PayPal or something like that instead. But yeah, I'll have to look in that. Maybe I'll have one of my international friends try it and see if we can figure out a way to get it done. Because I know we have a lot of international listeners. That would mean a lot to our listenership. But yeah, it might be.
And the timing is so beneficial for them too.
Yeah. No, yeah, totally, for European people in particular. Let's see what else we got here.
Thank you to Armor G. This is something we don't talk about enough, but if you can subscribe to us on Twitch Prime, That is through. It's basically it's for Amazon Prime. If that because those two are connected, you can connect your two accounts and you get a free subscription. So it doesn't cost you anything and it helps us out a little bit. But the bigger way you can support us, that is much appreciated. I appreciate everybody who does it. But Patreon.com/Duncan LaRue, we are doing premium content. We did a subscriber mailbag, which means the questions are asked by and answered for just subscribers. We did about an hour on that. We got a lot of interesting topics, did that this week. And we're doing daily dunks, which are the pieces that we are reading. You can check that out so you can kind of read what we're reading, get a sense of where we're going with our thought process.
Yeah, and thanks to B. Wardley, who just subscribed with Prime as well. Or was that the guy you just shouted out? I forgot.
Two different ones.
Hell yeah. All right, thanks, man. Creepy Crab, Nets games are blacked out. Are you guys casting any of their games on League Pass? Yes, we are doing Monday, 8 Eastern, Sixers and Spurs. I'm looking forward to that Spurs game, actually, Danny. I want to see these Spurs young guys really get some rope to work with now.
Who went to 2K? I play more than Nate. Nate's given up video games a long time ago. I haven't played a lot this year. I've been otherwise occupied, but yeah, I'm assuming I would beat Nate pretty handily.
Oh, that's correct. Would me versus you in real basketball, or you versus me in 2K? Like if we played like full games of each, who would the winner be at the end?
I think probably you in real basketball because I mean I haven't really played since I fake retired after hitting a game-winning shot on the Nike campus. I haven't really touched a basketball since then. Very much.
Yeah, well, I haven't touched a video game controller in like 20 years. So, I mean, I would need I would need like at least a short amount of time to practice. All right, here's LeBron three-pointer. Yeah, wow, they needed that one badly, and LeBron, no hesitation. He can get that shot whenever he wants to. Basically, like they are not going to try and take that away from him unless he hits a few. So, that was an interesting play call, but LeBron delivers to stanch the bleeding momentarily. Now, Leonard likes Caruso. He wants it back. And Beverly, that was bad. Beverly should have got it back to him quickly instead of trying to attack, and now they got nothing. Here's Beverly trying to drive, goes into nowhere to go. Yeah, it's got to be a shot clock violation. Yeah, I mean, Beverly, like Leonard throws it to him. I guess Beverly thought that he had a drive or something, but no, like Kawhi was like, no, give me the ball back, and Caruso did well to deny him after that initial opening. I want to see if they guard Caruso now. They did not guard him at the end of the first half, and he couldn't make him pay. Here's KCP into the lane. Alley-oop. Davis. Oh, beautiful. The man that Ben Taylor called the best roll man in the NBA, showing why on that one. And Lakers right back into contact now.
Davis didn't even catch it cleanly, but got enough to put it in the basket, something Zubats did not do earlier.
Here's Kawhi creating the space short, and wow, it looked like Zubac got tied up, no call. LeBron pushing it. Beverly attacks his dribble beautifully. He wanted the ball going the other way, but great job taking it away from LeBron in transition.
I don't know if any of my media friends are on, but I would be very interested in anything about the floor cleaners of the bubble. I think that I just saw them running on the floor and realized I hadn't thought about that at all.
LeBron, similar action to what they got that three-pointer for him on. Kuzma on the drive, and what we got here, walk?
It's an epidemic, Nate.
Yeah, he moved his left foot on the drive. Here's Leonard. Kuzma doing a good job directing him away from the screen. Now they get it. They'll switch this. 10 on the clock. One-on-one. Kawhi. Good help from Caruso. You see Caruso not guarding Patrick Beverly at all there. Now Beverly's going to have to go one-on-one against AD also. Oh, and AD. He's so good at not fouling normally, and that's just Patrick Beverly, three-pointer off the dribble. Just get a good contest. You did your job with 1.2 on the shot clock, and instead it's going to be 3 free throws.
And AD getting in the air so early there, he loses any benefit of doubt. I thought that Beverly, it wasn't quite a natural shooting motion, but they're going to give him the call there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the rule is essentially that if you get the guy in the air, you can jump forward into him as much as you want, and you'll get the call. It's only if you jump sideways. I don't think that's how it should be called, but that is the way that they do it. And if the guy's in the air and he's jumping towards you, it is a foul on you. I'm sorry, it is a foul on the guy in the air, I should say. That's the better way to
on
put
the
that.
jumper,
Yes,
the defender.
precisely. So Clippers get a couple of Beverly free throws, 2 out of 3. James, they'll switch this as Patterson has returned. Now it's Caruso into the lane. He tries to attack. Nice play by Green from behind, but Beverly is going to get a blocking foul. And that's something, I mean, what is that? Beverly's 4th foul now in probably like 10 minutes. I
That
think
is exactly right.
that the amount that he fouls is what really hurts the argument for him as an all-defense guy. And a lot of those fouls are kind of off-ball stuff. It doesn't actually show up until later because the team gets into the bonus earlier. But he really does foul a lot, and I think that's something that needs to be considered when you look at his case defensively. Certainly a quality option, but I don't think he's in the upper echelon compared to, say, a guy like Drew Holiday, who we saw dominate defensively at times in the first game. I think Drew is another level to someone like Beverly, whereas I think I don't know, you guys can tell me in the comments, but I think there's a perception that those guys are pretty close to another. I don't see it that way, though. Leonard, size advantage against KCP, goes into it, double team nicely by Waiters. That leaves Shamet open, though, and he missed that 3. I mean, you're playing with fire to leave Landry Shamet on a play like that, though. Now Kuzma trying to attack Green, shut down nicely. Swing it to Waiters. He's open as they tried to scram him out, and some more missed jump shots as they can't make a play. Here's Shamet in transition on Waiters again. Waiters has lost him 2 possessions in a row and gotten lucky.
Yeah, and Shamet 1 for 5 from the field, missed all 3 of his 3-pointers, but they've been good looks.
Beverly committed another foul there on Caruso, and it wasn't called. Now it's Kuzma trying to attack Green, and Green is locking him down. But Caruso on the back door, he beat Beverly nicely. Yeah, they really were zoned up behind the play. That was a great screen by Alex Caruso to get inside position and then roll to the rim off the switch, and a nice find by Kyle Kuzma, who definitely needs to improve his passing out of pick and roll. If you want to improve your betting strategy, bookies.com, Danny, is the place to do it.
Absolutely, and you can check out the work of Mark Stropman and Adam Thompson. They give their expert picks, and really, BetOnline is about information. It's about making sure that you have the right information, whether you need expert picks or you just need to know where the best lines are. You can get all of that bookies.com/NBA.
Yeah, Mark actually just wrote a piece on bookies.com, a nice 5-minute read talking about the under, and the consensus has been that games are going to be lower scoring, and so the over-unders are lower, and his opinion is that maybe bookmakers have gone a little bit too far on that. So you can check out that article, but also more importantly, you can click through to great deals on legal betting in your state as well with bookies.com. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No,
you got more good things to say about bookies.com. Do not allow me to interrupt you, please.
Adam Thompson's pick for the day was the Jazz. They were 2.5-point underdogs. Paid out.
How would you rate the quality of play in the bowl compared to what you were expecting? It's been about there. I will say that my expectations were higher. I thought that Pell's game against Utah was a pretty high quality game.
Yeah, I mean there are a few little like rust related things, but overall I think the quality of the effort level's been good.
Yeah, and this game, the Clippers in particular, they just haven't had their whole group together. They didn't really have a training camp. Jackson, he's got AD on him. Late clock. He's going to have to go to the step back. Good contest. Jackson misses. Waiters now in transition. Looking spry. Attacks Shamet. Goes right to the rim. Out to KCP, who had not spotted up at the three-point line, and they'll have to reset. They want Kuzma in the post against Jackson. Reggie Jackson, not a well-known defender. Here comes good help from JaMychal Green. JaMychal Green has been really good defensively in this stint. Here's the drive from Waiters into the lane. Caruso's corner 3. Can he make one? No. And Green keeps it alive, but right to Caruso, and Waiters wants to reset it. Dion might not be used to that 14-second shot clock reset at this point.
No.
He shoots it over Amir Coffee, and that was not a good possession.
Yeah, that was an example of why the 14-second refresh doesn't exactly do it.
Tough behind the back pass goes awry, but Clips recover. 10 on the clock. Jackson wants the screen. They'll just switch this. Jackson's going to have to create a jumper again. Stepping back to his left. Closed down by Kuzma. Three-pointer from Green is good. And there you saw them take advantage of Caruso's help instincts. He's all the way over by the nail and doesn't close out hard enough on Green. They makes him pay with the three. Big shot. Davis goes through the arm of Green. That'll be a rip move foul. No shots.
Oh, actually, that's a good question. I'll save that for the next stoppage.
Oh, I guess are they making that a shooting foul, or are they in the bonus?
The score bug does not say the Lakers are in the bonus. That could be late.
I mean, that should have been a rip move. But Anthony Davis, #1 overall pick in 2012, will have one more as he is dominated today at the foul line.
And I mean, this lineup puts a lot on Reggie Jackson because there aren't really any other on-ball creators for the Clippers. And I mean, some of that is Lou Williams not being there, but it's tough.
Yeah, and also Paul George might be out there, but he's on the bench with 4 fouls. Honestly, I think Doc Rivers is almost happy that these guys have 4 fouls. Wow, Kuzma, again. Kuzma's had some nice individual stops in this game, surprisingly enough. Now he'll try Coffee again. Trying to put him in the mix. Kuzma has not been able to get separation in ISOs off the dribble. Now he's going to try Green. Weak side pass to Davis off the flare screen. Anthony Davis, that's a nice pass by Kyle Kuzma. He's thrown a couple of dimes here. He had that backdoor to Caruso as well. Patterson screens away. Here's Shamet on the drive. Davis coming over. Shamet went for the acrobatic reverse but couldn't. Here is Davis. 5-on-4. Shamet does well to get back. Kuzma closed down nicely by Green again. And JaMychal Green, he is all in Kuzma's grill. Here's the drive by Waiters. Good drive and kick. Davis's corner 3. That's beautiful. Lakers take the lead again. 2 threes by Anthony Davis. And Dion Waiters, he's had an effect here, Danny, with his drive and kick game going back to Miami. That's how he really thrived when he was going well there.
Absolutely. And I said before that the Lakers' 2 stars were 0 for 4 from 3. They made their last 3 after that.
Amir Coffee with the left-handed three-pointer from the corner. He had played well in the scrimmage games, earned some time, two-way guy for the Clippers, and he puts LA back up on front. Here's Waiters. Again, Waiters finishing. I mean, I'll tell you what, Danny, like, I haven't seen anything for Dion Waiters so far in the scrimmages and in this game to indicate that he's not going to be able to contribute for these guys.
I agree. He was a surprising standout in the scrimmages, and he's carried over.
They go under on Jackson. Now they swing it. I mean, this is another 3 from Green. Wow, this is a 3-point party. They caught Caruso helping a little bit much once more, and JaMychal Green just shot it right over the top of him. Clips back. Lakers looking for the 2-for-1 here. Davis is feeling it. No, not that time. Shamet looking to get his own 2-for-1. He pulls up. Not there. Coffee fighting for the rebound, but it goes to Caruso. 5-second differential, so the Clips kind of got the 2-for-1 there. We'll see what kind of straights they're in when they regain possession. Joakim Noah has been at the table forever, but he's not going to get a chance to come in. Davis, 1-on-1 against Patterson. Late clock. Creates space with the jab step. Goes to the fadeaway and scores. Got to make him put it on the floor.
3 big jump shots for AD.
5 seconds to work with for Jackson. He pulls up, slipped. Looks like he traveled, and in fact he did.
The 1 millionth travel of the third quarter of this game.
So little the Lakers can do here at 1.3 seconds. Yeah, JaMychal Green had talked about how he watched film of himself from last year to try and get back to being that player. And Mike Roberts is noting this. He's looked good so far. I agree. They throw it ahead, and Caldwell Pope will miss to send us
Well,
into the
that
fourth.
that Lakers group does have a lot of guys that you could think could take a shot quickly enough there.
Absolutely.
But we're at the third quarter break. The Clippers are ahead 77-76. They outscored the Lakers 25-22 in that third quarter. Leading scorer in the game, Anthony Davis, a whopping 32 points, 8 of 18 from the field, 14 of 15 from the free throw line. You could add on 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and +4 in his 28 minutes. Leading scorer for the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, 22 points, 6 of 14 from the field, 8 of 9 from the line.
What do you see in the shot charts that stands out?
So the Lakers still, I mean, they're not hitting mid-rangers, but they haven't really had to. They're 1 of 8 from there compared to 4 of 12 from the Clippers. But 22 shots in the restricted area compared to 15 for the Clippers. And when you consider that the Lakers also have the free throw advantage, 31 attempts to 22, I think that tells the story.
Yeah, absolutely. They have the Lakers have been successful inside, but of course, the 3-point shooting is really what got the Clippers back into it, and it had been miserable for a time. Now they're 11 out of 26. I can't remember what it was at halftime, but I think they made like 7 or 8 threes in that quarter. George had that jag early with 3 in 3 minutes, and JaMychal Green hit a couple as well. Leonard hit one, so yeah, it's at least 6 off the top of my head. Coffee had one, so yeah, the 3-point shooting for the Clippers got him back in it, and the Lakers are a putrid 6 of 24 at the moment.
Yeah, very true. And you could see the advanced stats under here thanks to RT Hoops, but both these teams getting to the line a lot if you look at the free throws made for field goals attempted. And the Clippers, now the Lakers actually do have 2 block shots, but the Clippers now have 5.
Let's see here. Some questions. Is team paint scoring / free throw rate as variable as 3-point shooting? Generally, the axiom is how you play takes a lot less time to really be predictive than how you're shooting, or what your results are. So if you're like, okay, where your shot locations are, that's going to be something that's generally a little bit more sticky earlier on than what you're shooting from a particular location. So that might shed a little bit of light on that. I would imagine that it's more it definitely, free throw rate in particular is something that doesn't vary that much, because they're just guys who get to the line pretty well. All right, we are back here. LeBron has returned. See if Paul George is back as well on those 4 fouls. I mean, I was starting.
And we'll see.
Yeah, sorry.
We'll see how Frank Vogel approaches LeBron's minutes here. How long of a rest does he try to steal at some point in the fourth?
Yeah, I mean, generally he's going to go back out again around the 6-minute mark, and LeBron only 24 minutes so far, so he could easily play almost all of this half or this quarter. Here's Caruso, has not had the touch. I think he's 0 for 4 on jumpers tonight.
Yeah, and jumpers off the dribble are part of the reason why he's better as an off-ball player than a lead guard.
So they avoided switching Kuzma onto George, and it pays off as he lost it. Kyle Kuzma again. They avoided switching Caruso onto George, and Kyle Kuzma stuck with him. And Kyle Kuzma has held up okay in isolation so far. He's pretty powerless as a help defender, but one-on-one he's done well. There's that same action they ran for LeBron to get that 3 out of the timeout in the third quarter, and Noah is going to pick up the foul. Noah is back in, Patterson as well. So keep an eye on Noah and who is guarding him in particular. That's going to be Howard. And watch how much he's able to roam here. And Patterson, too, is not a huge threat. Here's James wide open for 3 and can't get it. Going not as comfortable going to his right on the 3-pointer. Good job by Kuzma getting over that screen again. Yeah, you see Howard going way out on Jackson, but they switched it, and Howard didn't realize it, but Jackson couldn't hit the jumper. Yeah, Reggie Jackson a little bit overmatched trying to create in an ISO.
Yeah, and I mean they do have Paul George out there to make it a little easier, but that's going to be a challenge for him. And Dion.
Yeah, it's Dion Waiters in pick and roll has been effective tonight. Here's Noah again. They're running more through him. Sorry, go ahead.
Dion Waiters 4 for 4 on twos, 0 for 4 on threes.
Shamit off the screen, and Shamit has gotten looks against Waiters on the other end, but he's just 0 for 3 on that now. So we might be feeling differently about Waiters if Shamit had hit a couple of those. They go under on LeBron. Noah, nice pass underneath to Howard. Howard is mauled by Joakim Noah.
And Joakim Noah knows the scouting report on Dwight Howard there of fouling. He did it for fair enough years when those guys were titans in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll get to see a few more of Dwight Howard's free throw game here as the Lakers are back in front.
Jeff Gass asked no more Periscope. We're in the process of trying to figure that out. The challenges technologically of us two not being in the same place geographically made that a challenge for tonight, but we will continue working on that.
The plan is to have it. It just got logged out on the service that we use, and I haven't had a chance to log it back in again since I've actually been watching the game. Howard stepping far back from the free throw line. Periscope also doesn't have the pause button. It seems like most of you guys prefer YouTube, as Howard missing that free throw. And what's going on here? Lane violation? Yeah, I guess
Probably.
so. I mean, the level of enforcement on lane violations is spotty, to say the least. I mean, like, Paul George is just standing over the lane line right now. He's lane violating when he lines up for the free throw. But no harm.
And he gets the rebound.
No harm in the end, as Howard missed that one as well. Let's see what they can dial up. It's going to be George coming off of screens here. James switching it. Good communication between James and Kuzma. No advantage gain there. Beverly, his 3 over Caruso. Yeah, and Alex Caruso, this is something that I think the Clippers are dialed in on here. Caruso's help instincts. He loves to help out, and that's actually usually very effective, but that's about the 4th three-pointer that he's given up from his man, really without much excuse. Caruso tries to go down on the screen. Waiters 3. Oh, yeah, Dion Waiters. What a find. Signed just before the shutdown. He was waived from Memphis. Dude, Memphis could really use him right now, honestly. I think they wanted.
Remember, he's getting his full money for next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think they just wanted to move on from him just from a personality standpoint. But here's Beverly as they go under on him. He just hit one, but he's not as fast on a shooter off the dribble. LeBron with the Lakers leading. He's got Patterson, crosses him up into the lane. Wide open, Kuzma, corner 3. Oh, yeah. Beautiful back screen set by Howard. Or I'm sorry, I misspoke. That was actually Caruso who set a beautiful back screen, and the Lakers with their largest lead of the half.
And we talked before about how the Clippers offense looked a lot better when they hit some threes. Lakers doing that in the fourth quarter. Now they have a 9-3 advantage just in the fourth. Does it seem like guys are slipping a lot? I haven't noticed that too much. Have you?
A couple of times. But no more so than normal, I would say. I mean, it's just going for the Clippers in particular. I mean, they weren't practicing particularly hard. A lot of these guys didn't even play in the scrimmage games. And to go from that to up against a championship caliber team on national TV, and the guys are certainly playing hard tonight. Maybe not quite as many minutes, but now they're also can play harder in the minutes that they're out there. I mean, it's just a huge adjustment for these guys, and that's why it's been a little spotty. But I think the reason I'm optimistic about the quality of play is that I think these guys are going to have a lot of energy And that to me is the biggest variable in terms of quality of play. And, we just started this now. Like, there isn't a whole season for guys to have gotten injured, or like some guys are just going to be out because they're hurt. Like, guys have had a chance to recover. You're seeing a lot of guys who, had a bunch of nicks, or like a Malcolm Brogdon, for example, right? Like, he might have missed the playoffs as it turned out, or Ben Simmons. Yeah, like those guys are back now. So I'm very optimistic about how this is going to turn out from a quality of play standpoint.
From Dustin Whitehead, do you think Lillard is going to go off in these 8 games? I think he'll have some. He'll have some opportunities. Will he go off? I mean, remember one of the big challenges. I mean, Lillard ridiculous 40% on pull-up threes this year. I think for the Blazers and a couple other teams, not having the bottom teams in the league is going to make it a little bit harder because these teams are going to execute a lot better defensively.
Well, also that plantar fasciitis concerns me a little bit. I mean, it seemed like it was a sore foot. I assume it's plantar fasciitis. I mean, that's not the sort of thing that goes away quickly. So hopefully that's nothing of consequence. But yeah, I mean, they need him to start killing it right away. They got some huge games. Their first game is against Memphis, right? Is that tomorrow?
That's on Friday. Yeah, they play Memphis. Here's the Blazers schedule if you want to be a little bit concerned: Memphis, Boston, Houston, Denver, Clippers, Sixers, Mavericks, and then the Nets.
Yeah, I mean, now if they can beat Memphis, that really helps them.
Yes.
And then that second game against Boston, we'll see. I mean, we might cast that one. We'll see. We'll either do that one, or what's the other game on Sunday? Can't remember what it is. It's a good one though. I'm Houston, Milwaukee. So we're either going to do one of those two, since the ABC game on Sunday. And I don't know how hard Boston's going to be trying. I don't know how many minutes Kemba Walker is going to play. Ooh, a little altercation here. Double technicals? Are they just calling it on Dwight? Yeah, for just like taking a little swipe at him. Maybe it's double technicals. Didn't see any free throws for the Clippers. George and Leonard back on the floor now here. Clippers with this is a nice little unit for them. Might even be their starting group in time. Beverly, nice closeout by Waiters that time. Here's the drive. Zubac closed down by Howard. 5 on the clock. James forcing George baseline. What defense from James? George is struggling. He can't even get it off. Wow. Oh, are they going to call? No, they're not going to call. I was about to say LeBron.
No, that's a shot.
LeBron looked like he was like upset for a second.
And if we see that level of LeBron defense, even if it's for like a quarter a game in these, that it's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean that really excites me if he's going to defend like that regularly. Now he takes the 3 as they go under. 8-point Laker lead all of a sudden here. They look for Leonard against Kuzma. Kuzma doing a nice job at Leonard again. Near side George, what a pass under to Zubac, but he traveled? No, what are they calling here?
I think the refs are figuring out what they called.
He did not, in fact, travel. It was extremely awkward. Yeah, they're going to say LeBron fouled him. Yeah, that's a good call.
I don't think Zubac's feet left the floor, so that's why it didn't look like they got real close.
Yeah, he had his left foot down, and LeBron did, in fact, foul him. Leonard trying to step back. Kuzma stops him again. 5 on the clock. Another late clock possession for the Clips. Leonard is short on the jumper. Waiters looking to push it. 2-on-2. He's got Green on his right. Green wide open corner 3. Oh, baby. Dion Waiters. What a difference he's made, Danny.
Yeah. I mean, the Lakers, after not hitting any three-pointers at all, they're getting good looks, and they're absolutely hitting them now. They're over 34% from 3 in the whole game.
Yeah, and the Lakers transition game. I mean, the Lakers were 6 out of 25 at one point, and they've made, their last 3 now? And
3 of the last 4, I believe.
And Beverly tried to do the rip move, but just lost it out of bounds, but it'll remain Clipper ball.
And JaMychal Green coming back in for Zubac, so that's a little bit more floor spacing to counteract the Lakers' the Lakers having Dwight Howard on the floor.
Well, and this is the lineup that I think every Clippers watcher really wants to see, with JaMychal Green at the 5, giving you a little more spacing, Marcus Morris, George, Leonard, and Patrick Beverley. Very defensively versatile lineup, good shooting at all 5 positions. Here's George blowing by, and you see instantly Dwight Howard late on the rotation. JaMychal Green had spaced out. Howard was late. He didn't know who he had, and George just goes right in for the dunk. LeBron engaging JaMychal Green, backs it out. Wants space. He directs Danny Green into the near side corner. Crossing over to his left on the drive. He's got Danny Green in the aforementioned corner. And LeBron with the tip in, and will stay right here instead with Dwight Howard using his size on the offensive glass, drawing a loose ball foul.
And LeBron's vision there was absolutely fantastic to draw so much attention and find the guy in the opposite corner and hit him just so perfectly, even though Danny Green missed the shot.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example of what LeBron James is all about, too. I'm going to tell you exactly where to go, and then once I told you where to go, I'm going to throw you the pass in the exact location, and you'll be wide open. That's like LeBron James in a nutshell right there. So now we're really seeing it now. This is the real lineups that I think a lot of people want to see. AD replacing Howard. He's guarding JaMychal Green. Let's see if they switch more here. They've got a good switching lineup out here, too, for the Lakers with Waiters. He can switch pretty well. Here's Beverly's 3 over Waiters. And, yeah, I mean, Waiters, he's given up too many three-pointers here. I mean, you're in the strong side corner right there. That's not his job. It's not his job to step in and take a charge on Paul George and leave a 40% three-point shooter in the near side corner. That's the weak side help's job, not Waiters' job. Waiters coming right back. He misses. Beverly on the glass. Davis controls. Kuzma's 3 on the right wing. Oh, yeah. Quality of play is picking up as they've gotten smaller. You see how much more spacing there is and pace there is now on the floor.
And how much the Lakers actually hitting three-point shots makes their offense more vibrant.
Oh, for sure. Here's Beverly going at Waiters. Oh, he faked him into next Tuesday for the layup. That's the old Derrick Rose move.
And Waiters there, you can see the other limitation of him defensively is that he just doesn't have the same quickness to stay with somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was there. He just got a little overeager. Now here's LeBron off the screen for his 3. That's off. Leonard can't get the rebound. LeBron gets it. Going at Green. Missed the layup. Wow, LeBron had a chance to give him a 9-point lead. Here's Morris. JaMychal Green. Morris is wide open up top for 3 in transition. Oh, man, he can't make it. Clips have had their chances with some 3-point looks here at times, and Frank Vogel is going to get a timeout. I assume this timeout is to give LeBron about a minute or 2 break.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And I mean, one of the other ones, we'll talk about this on the pod, Landry Shamet's 0 for 5 on threes, and I think all but maybe one of them were wide open looks. He's a better shooter than that, and then Marcus Morris just missed that one. Clippers still shooting 42% from long distance, but they you think about some of the ones that have gone wanting.
Indeed, and thank you for stealing my gone wanting nomenclature, by the way. I appreciate that. I love when people just start taking on my diction. It's so gratifying.
Oh, that makes me never want to do it again.
Hey, there's worse people that you could steal your diction from. I mean, it's a natural consequence of talking to each other for 2 hours a day for every day for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Let's hit some questions.
Dion Waiters, this isn't a question, it's more of a comment. Dion Waiters, highest variance player of note in the NBA. That might be true.
Locke actually did some research on this a while ago, and he found that Anthony Davis was one of the higher variance stars. I'm not sure if that is continued now that he plays with the Lakers, but it would make sense a little bit with Davis because he's a little bit more dependent. As he's high usage, but he's dependent, and so you can kind of take him away a little bit. I'd be interested to check back in on that because the Lakers, I think, have a little bit more of a good idea of how they want to use him, and particularly LeBron always makes sure that he's involved. So that's interesting. How about this one here? Iguana Superbike. Why are the Thunder seen as a lower ceiling team, while the Mavs are often talked about as high ceiling? One is a great clutch team, while the other is terrible. Wouldn't that matter in the playoffs?
Well, the idea is that clutch is a small sample size, and that you wouldn't necessarily say that that is predictive moving forward. The Thunder outperformed their point differential. The Mavericks didn't, and I'm going to lean on things like that rather than a small clutch sample size, especially when Dallas's offense was shockingly different from the rest of the regular season in terms of overall success, and I'm not going to bet on that too aggressively.
Well,
Like
and
OKC had a 124 clutch offensive rating. Is the argument that that's representative of what they are?
yeah, I mean, now they do run through Chris Paul a little bit more. I get that. I mean, and Chris Paul is a really good mid-range shooter, which you can argue is bigger in the clutch. But I think the bigger thing, and you talked about the Mavericks, Luka Doncic was like really good in the clutch last year, and this year he's been bad. But he's a better player this year? Is he somehow like something happened to him where he's not going to score well in the clutch? I mean, your issue is, I do think there to some degree, the playoffs and clutch games where you're really got to put your best foot forward and it's really intense and every weakness is going to be magnified. There's a little bit to that, but I also think that overall there's just much more luck involved in these things. I mean, another example, the 2016 Warriors were probably the best clutch team of all time in the regular season, pretty close to it. And then the next year they add Kevin Durant and they were a terrible clutch team. All right, we're back here. 7-point game, Lakers looking to build on that. KCP off 3 screens. Now Davis, and LeBron is in fact out of the game. He's going to go one-on-one against George. Into the corner, Danny Green with the Danny Green cut, but time runs down, and you always hate that as a coach. Your ATO, you run the shot clock down, you don't even get anything. That happened to the Clippers earlier this quarter. Here's George. Oh, nice dribble move, but AD steps in, and this time he's rightfully called for the charge. Remember, there was that charge on the review in the first
For
half.
the block.
Yeah. This one, again, yeah, clearly a block. He's not in front of him. He's still moving to his right. Good call.
Yeah, and so this could be a huge step for the Clippers to try to make a little bit of hay. The sun is shining with LeBron off the floor. And the Lakers' offense, if it continues to stay stagnant, that not only helps the Clippers because the Lakers aren't scoring, but also could create some transition opportunities.
Yeah, I think Vogel feels good though with the 7-point lead to get LeBron a little bit of a rest. They don't want, he would have only been on 36 minutes, but they don't like to play him for 12 straight minutes generally. He gets those one big rest in the first quarter or first and third as George misses the free throw, and then he'll get this short rest. So I'd say maybe another minute or so is what we'll be looking at with LeBron on the bench here.
Yeah, and the Lakers have 3 timeouts. We could very well see them burn their third, that one before the last 2 minutes to get LeBron back in the game.
George's second free throw.
Wow.
Missed them both. That could have been big there. Lakers dodge a bullet. Now they don't know who they have. Caruso goes right to the rim. Oh, that's atrocious. Reggie Jackson had come in, and I'm guessing he was guarding Caruso, and just nobody knew who had anybody. Man, that is ugly. Off a missed free throw, too. How do you not communicate during a free throw to know who you have? Here's the drive by Leonard, and he gets it knocked away by Danny Green. Might be time for a Lakers challenge here, actually, Danny, if they think that this is off of Kawhi Leonard. They do not, in fact, challenge. George, Morris, closed down beautifully by KCP, and then great help from Danny Green, too. This Lakers defense has had some great possessions.
What the Lakers did there, they made Morris turn down the 3 and then settle for a long 2. That's picture perfect.
They go under on Caruso in pick and roll. Davis, pick and pop. Good contest late from George. Davis can't hit the 3. He had a couple in that third quarter. Now it's got to be Kawhi time as the Clippers are up against it. Caruso, good help again. And Kawhi hits the 3 regardless.
But the Lakers it's still a 6-point lead with LeBron off the floor for the last minute and a half.
Yeah, where's the offense going to come from? AD in the post here, maybe? They get it to him. Good pressure from George. KCP going into a wall of arms that they're lucky to retain possession. And they don't.
Yeah, Leonard had... They would have been lucky.
Yeah, I think they said he threw it off the bottom of the backboard.
How is
this? How is
especially when
this
it looked like it hit Paul
Clippers
George.
ball?
This would be a challenge.
Yeah, I don't get
Challenge
this
it.
at all. Challenge! Challenge! Oh man, it's such a beautiful sight to see NBA players complaining to the referees again. It almost makes you feel normal for just a moment. So are they saying, yeah, Kawhi's saying it hit the bottom of the backboard first. But yeah, this is a great time to challenge if you're Vogel. They've got the timeout to spare.
Yeah, and then LeBron gets some extra rest to review it. What is this from Dom Lozano? What is this live stream all about? It's Nate Duncan and I. We do the Dunktown Basketball Podcast, providing alternate commentary. If you are dissatisfied with the commentary you are getting on this game or other games, you can listen to us. And we try to lean more towards advanced stats. We answer listener questions during the stoppages, so there's a lot more going on. You can interact with us, and hopefully you enjoy it, because we're going to be doing a lot of this during the playoffs. You can support it at patreon.com/DuncanLaRue and check out the podcast that we will release later tonight.
Yeah, and so we just try to give a little bit more X's and O's focus of the game, and of course take people's questions. So let's do that right now.
Danny, do you still hate the challenge? I don't love it. I think that I would like to see what I've said before is a fourth referee who basically watches the TV feed and have it be initiated. And basically, you would have them adjudicate most of the calls too. The coaching challenge is I just think it's kind of awkward.
Yeah, it did clearly hit that stanchion, so it should be, in fact, Clippers ball. We just didn't really have the angle to see it, but TNT is on it here for us now.
Question: does Landry Shamet deserve a spot in the playoff rotation? Seems like he can get picked on defensively. That's true, but yes, he does. He's a reliable shooter, doesn't need the ball to be effective, and he's not awful defensively, but you're going to have some sores, and I think that he fits in well with some of the lineups with Kawhi and Paul George, where you don't need as much of somebody to handle the ball, you just need somebody to take the open shots.
Yeah, I wonder what's taking so long here, but in any event.
We could do this one briefly, but I think this would be a good one to talk about actually on the pod. Has this game impacted the way you see a potential Lakers-Clippers playoff matchup?
I think probably the biggest takeaway that I have is that Dion Waiters has looked pretty good.
And for me, Kuzma is another part of that story. I want to talk about that on the pod.
Yeah.
Like, he's looked better defensively, and he's not really done as much of the kind of like aggressive Kuzma offense when LeBron's been on the floor.
Yeah. Now, as far as like who's going to win, no. I mean, I think my takeaway is going to be more towards individual players. And, Kawhi looks fine, not great. LeBron looks fine, not great. I mean, his defensive effort's been really good. All right, here we go. Clips going to make one last push here. LeBron has returned. He got plenty of rest during that review. George, Leonard pick and roll. Now Leonard wants KCP, has the strength advantage, gets past him. A good strip by KCP, but they're going to get the foul on him.
Yeah, I think caught a little bit of arm there.
I mean, I'll tell you what, like, KCP might have even got ball first, but Kawhi Leonard's hands are so strong that even if you get ball first, he's just going to go right through your arm, and it's going to go off the ball onto his arm, and it's going to be a foul. I think that's what happened that time, although we didn't get a zoom in. So...
And I believe these are Kawhi's first free throws of the second half.
Yeah, what was he, like 8 and 9 in the first half?
He was 8 and 9, yeah.
So Lakers not out yet here. They're going to have to keep scoring to keep this Clippers team at bay. So the Lakers closing group looks like it's Caruso, LeBron, Green, KCP, and AD. So it is AD at center. They try to... That's an old staple there that the Cavs used to run. You put LeBron at the elbow. You have a small guy screen for... It used to be Kevin Love and George Hill would run that. Or JR and Kevin Love to try to screen Davis into the post. It's more effective, though, if the guy setting the screen can shoot, because then you can't just have both guys go with Davis. So I might actually want to try and run that with like a Danny Green or a KCP instead of Caruso. Pick and roll. Caruso goes through two guys, tries to lay it in, and he's hacked.
I'd forgotten about the dynamic that Ty Lue, who many believed would be the coach of the Lakers, being on Doc Rivers' bench.
So the group now for the Clips, Reggie Jackson at the 1, George, I guess, would be your nominal 2, Leonard at 3, Morris at 4, and JaMychal Green at 5. And I think they didn't switch that time. I think the whole point of having this group is so you can switch, because if you're not going to switch, you get someone like Caruso going to the basket. There isn't any rim protection really to deter him when that happens. So I would like to see more switching with this group. Stay in front of guys and force them to beat you one-on-one. 1 of 2 from the Texas A&M product. 5-point game. Same play again for the Clips. Kawhi wants the switch to go at LeBron, interestingly. And that was, I did not like that at all. And LeBron can't believe that he was called for the foul. Let's see if this is a good call. Yes, he grabbed Kawhi's arm, it looked like. Or at least kind of got tangled up with him. I understand why the call was made. LeBron didn't agree with it, though. So more free throws from Leonard here. And
a chance to make it a one-possession game.
I didn't really understand that play, though, because Kawhi already has KCP, who he just blew by for a foul in the last possession. And so they instead ran a screen roll so that Kawhi could try and ISO on LeBron instead. But, I mean, it worked out, but I don't really like the strategy, and missed free throw from Leonard.
Only a second of the game. 10-12 now.
So,
and we've had a couple of significant missed free throws. Paul George, remember, he had that 0 for 2 earlier in the quarter.
Yeah, you're right. And that'll be something to watch down the stretch. Fascinating, though, that this has gone as small as it has. Now, with the Clippers, I mean, 2 of the guys who are nominally in their closing 5, Lou Williams and Harrell, are not available right now. And Patrick Beverley is just working his way back as well. I would probably prefer Beverley at full strength over Reggie Jackson with this group. Oh, man, they forgot who they had again. And they dodged a bullet. That actually worked out for them to have it be a short possession. But they gave up another 3 off a missed free throw, not knowing who they were guarding. It's incredible.
Yeah, practicing a little harder might have benefited them.
Here's Kawhi attacking KCP. Good help from Green. Sets up Jackson. His drive. Leaves it. JaMychal Green. Oh, he tried to go for the reverse, and LeBron took it away. Not good from Green. Here's LeBron with the chance in transition, and he's going to back it out and use the little clock here. He likes this matchup with Reggie Jackson. He's going to tell Danny Green to get out of here so he can go one-on-one. And what do we got here?
I think it was an off-ball. I think it was an off-ball foul.
Yeah, JaMychal Green chucked Anthony Davis. And now the Lakers are in the bonus. So that's JaMychal Green. It's so funny to me. LeBron James doesn't even really like jump that much to block shots anymore. But you just watch when he's around the rim, guys know that it's him and they're scared of him. I don't know if it's just an intimidation factor that you just know where LeBron James is on the floor, but JaMychal Green went for like a crazy reverse. He just goes up and dunks that. He would have been fine. LeBron was like, okay, you're going to bring it up right in front of me on this side. Sure, I'll block it.
And this could potentially be significant. Kuzma coming in for KCP. Remember, KCP had really struggled to contain Kawhi, and Kuzma has done a good job so far.
I agree. I mean, I think actually it might be a little bit better of an option. So, yeah, that was a key exchange. Now they want to go after Caruso. They're trying to avoid the switch here. Kawhi gets some space. LeBron gets through it. Here's George on the drive. Pass Green. Beautiful jump stop and extension around Davis. Still a 4-point game. We've probably got maybe 4 possessions apiece left in this one until they start fouling. Here's Davis off that Caruso screen. Same play we talked about, and he stepped on the sideline. It's never going to happen. I would hope that the league could experiment with a wider court in this setting. But that's not something that they're going to look to do here. Yeah, so, and actually, you know what? Honestly, he traveled too. He traveled. His left foot was his pivot foot. So turnover either way. Same action. They're going after Kuzma. Wow, he stopped him again. But a three from George is good. Oh, man. Danny Green, he was really upset about something. I'm not sure what that was.
I think that he thought Kawhi traveled.
Yeah, he thought, I think there was a thought that it should have been a violation, but he stopped playing and they give up a three. So it's a 1-point game, improbably. LeBron wants to go at JaMychal Green, forcing him to his right to the help at the nail. LeBron spending time, goes to his right hand and finishes. And with Shamet is in the game now, with Green on the perimeter, they don't have anyone to protect the rim back there, and LeBron recognized it. And that's the downside of sending him right. He wanted to protect against the step back, but LeBron is so good going to his right on a hard drive. Now Leonard working into the mid-range. Shamet looking for a three. Oh, what a play by Caruso to intercept as Shamet looked for Jackson in the corner, and now the Lakers could burn some clock.
That was a version of kind of a veer back by Caruso. He read where the pass was going to go and just got there for the deflection and a steal.
Here's AD. He's going at Green. I don't know why he's trying to put it on the floor. He throws it away. Shamet can't save it. It'll remain Laker ball with 7 on the clock. That's not really AD's forte necessarily, to drive off the dribble into 3 guys.
And that was a really good example of Caruso's help instincts. He realized he couldn't really do much to affect the drive, so he just got to where the most logical pass was.
Yeah, I mean, he is definitely a heady defender. He's been burned a few times with overhelping, but that was a nice adjustment from him to take care of the shooter instead. So let's do a little bit of a reset. I'm trying to see where we are in terms of timeouts. I would imagine the Lakers took that one.
Yeah, I think the Lakers have 1 and the Clippers have 2. And the Lakers are up 3 points. They are, I believe both teams are in the bonus, and the Lakers have the ball.
Yeah, we may see a Clippers timeout after this possession so that they can get the 2-for-1. They should get the ball back with about 40 seconds left. And the question is, are they going to be down 3 or are they going to be down 5?
Yeah.
Let's hit some quick questions here before we get back. Where's Beverly? He has to be better than Shamet out there. I think it's just related to his conditioning.
Yeah, he looked rusty on when he's been out there.
Yeah, he's probably at a minutes limit that we just don't know about. And let's see. So yeah, I mean, I think he would be doing a better job. And Shamet too. I mean, it's surprising to me that he's out there as well, because and maybe they just did that for an offense only possession. But you'd be hard pressed to say that Shamet has played well in this game.
Oh, thanks to PRK for mentioning something I hadn't realized I should be happy about. There aren't photographers underneath the baskets.
Oh, yeah. Now, people have been talking about that during the scrimmage. All right, here we go. LeBron to his right. He's got Danny Green. Open 3. This could ice it. No, short. Davis on the offensive glass. So I think this is going to be Clippers ball, and it is. They're going to review, however.
But it looked like it went off Davis.
Yeah, that was certainly my impression. Let's see on the replay. Yeah, Davis is pointing that way. It's possible that JaMychal Green got a hand. No, definitely touched Davis last. Yeah, he continued to touch it after Green made contact. So this should be Clippers ball. Pretty easy call here. Yeah, he's still got his hand on it. You can see it from the overhead view that they showed before this. It shows it perfectly.
Yeah, he should curse having such large hands.
Is there a better help guard defender in the NBA than Caruso? Yes, Kyle Lowry, I would say is. I mean, Kyle Lowry, leads the NBA in charges, or pretty close to it every year.
If Lou Williams was available, would we have seen him in the fourth quarter? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Doc wouldn't sit him for the entire time. I think it's more likely that Doc would play him too much rather than too little.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think they need to kind of be disabused of the idea that he should be in their closing 5. But yeah, I mean, this is an interesting group for LA. They haven't really been doing a ton of switching, but I mean, one difference, right? We talked about a lot of small ball unit, right? Just like the Warriors. Well, there isn't really a Draymond Green with this group, right? That was the thing that the Warriors, and then when they had KD too, they actually had 2 guys to protect the rim. There's not really a natural rim protector. Kawhi, that's probably actually the weakest part of his defensive game. I would even say PG is up there too. Those guys like to kind of hang out in the passing lanes a little bit more, go for steals. And so especially if you get JaMychal Green on an island, there wasn't a ton of help. We saw it on that hard right-handed drive by LeBron that was a key bucket for them. So here we go. 40.8 left. Clippers have 2 timeouts. They didn't need to take one here. It was going to be their ball, so that probably could be an advantage. But they're going to need to bring it the length of the court against this Lakers defense. They got to get the 2-for-1, so really about 32 is where you're looking to shoot here.
At some point, this reveal will be over, right? I am also firmly in favor. I think Ethan is the first person I heard say this, that that it's the review should be time limited. Basically, if you can't find something in 30 seconds, then you go with the call on the floor.
No, I agree with that, because you just, I mean, maybe there's some new, and if you can't see it after you've looked at every angle, I totally agree with you there. I mean, this is, we do have bigger problems in this world than long reviews. Maybe they're trying to get the clock or something. Who knows? Maybe Twitter can tell us the answer to this. Nope. AD can't believe it, but I can believe it because it's the right call. Finally, it seems. I would have actually considered taking one of those 2 timeouts for the Clippers here just to advance it and give yourself a better chance at the 2-for-1. But maybe they feel they can really push it up fast. But they don't really have anyone who's just going to put a ton of pressure on the defense. And I like the Lakers pressuring up here to take more time off. They get it into George. Now Leonard. Reggie Jackson looking to screen. Now they screen away for George. Good pressure from LeBron. Took Kawhi's pass away. Here's George's 3 to tie it. Oh, whoa! Yeah! Woo-hoo-hoo! Paul George has tied it at 101. 5-second differential. Lakers will not take time. They'll probably attack here, and if they can't get anything, call timeout. No, they're just going to run it down. Yeah, they pre-switch this. LeBron, quick attack, tries to draw the foul on Morris. No call. Rebound, LeBron.
Hold it. No one followed the shot. No one boxed out LeBron James. Wow. I mean, we've seen some not I would say uncharacteristic, but some surprising defensive brain farts from the Clippers. That was not as egregious as some of the ones they had off missed free throws, but LeBron James just followed his ball in, and no one got it.
Yeah, I mean, this shot from George, as they just very briefly miscommunicated, I mean, that's a pretty good contest, but Paul George has had the touch from 3 all day, and then LeBron tried to draw a foul. Could have been a foul. I like the no call, though, but he followed his own shot. Morris was knocked out of the play. And, yeah, I mean...
And Reggie Jackson did nothing.
Yeah, I mean, we are seeing maybe some of the limitations of this Clippers small ball group. They haven't had a chance to practice this. Marcus Morris is, this is really his first action. They got a lot of guys who are rusty, so I'm not going to shovel dirt on this Clippers small unit. But in terms of rim protection and rebounding, there are some issues with this group. And I love LeBron attacking quickly right off the switch. That's something that I think a lot of guys, when they get the switch, they back it out. And LeBron, as soon as that guy switches onto you, you just go right at him immediately. Don't let him settle in and get comfortable. He's worried, okay, I got to switch onto the guy. He's not worried about guarding you yet. He's worried about communicating with his teammate. That's when you can blow by him and get an advantage. So Clippers, how much time we got here?
I think it's about 4 or 5 seconds. I might be wrong, though.
No, I think it's a little more here.
12.8.
Here we go. Kawhi, one-on-one against LeBron, forces him left for the win. He picks it up, no advantage. Now LeBron on George. They're going to have no shot here. George is 3, not even close. LeBron James with a fantastic defensive possession to end the game for the Lakers. And the Clippers not out yet in terms of that 2 seed. They have an easy schedule going forward, but this win by the Lakers means they are going to have to sweat at least a little bit. And LeBron James defensively, a huge takeaway from this one. Great job switching on to George. Clippers could not get a good look, and LeBron, they're not calling the foul on him in that situation, especially after he tried to draw that same foul on the other end and didn't get the call.
Leading scorer in the game, Anthony Davis, 34 points, 8 of 19 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, 16 of 17 from the free throw line, a lot of that damage in the first half. And the Lakers ended up shooting 30.6% from 3 when they were in the 20s for most of this game. And it'll be fun. We'll talk about this game on Dunked On. We will that'll come out later. Patreon.com/DuncanLaRue, great way to support it. And then the biggest way to support us right now.
Watch that game tomorrow.
Tomorrow. We're in the NBA's platform. For those of you who've wanted it, you can watch the game but listen to us. You can get I don't want to spoil all the presentation stuff, but we did a tech demo yesterday. I am insanely excited.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a dream come true for us, and thanks to all you who have supported us through the years. And even if you can't watch at 2:30 Eastern tomorrow, you can watch the game later, or you can check out our second game, which will be 8 Eastern on Monday. And for the cast, we'll be back on Sunday. Stay tuned here. We don't know what game we're doing yet. We'll probably decide that late Friday night. Thanks again for joining us. We love doing this. It's so good to be back. Seriously, you guys have no idea how much we miss doing this. And we'll talk to you all soon.